This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Go Hayes! It's a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a judging blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live World Series edition. As hard to believe it's Thursday, we've got Game 5 of the World Series. We will be going back to Houston. Can you turn me up, just my headphones up a little bit? My headphones up. There you go. We will be going back to Houston for Game 5. And that will be Saturday. And excuse me, for Game 6, we'll be going back to Houston. And if we have a Game 7, it will be on Sunday. We got a great guest lineup for you today. Rob Friedman, the pitching ninja, is going to be here at 1:45. Scott Emerson, Emo, your pitching coach of the Oakland Athletics. Get his view what's been going on because, you know, he's watching. That's going to be at 2:30. And then Zach Crizer. Crizer, right?
We'll go with that.
Zach Crizer has written a great story about Dave Dombrowski, I don't know exactly Dave's title, president of baseball operations.
Yeah, he's the president of baseball ops. Sam Folds, the former A's, the general manager.
Yeah, and we will get into that because I know our friend Bob Nightingale is not the most popular guy in the A's fan base right now, but I will tell you this. Great article in Sports Weekly about Dave Dombrowski that I have not only read, I've highlighted. I'm ready to bring you the information. So Dave is not a friend, but someone I have known for a long time. And his story dates back to the 70s. Yes, the 70s, where a lot of you weren't alive. You didn't exist.
You were barely born.
And I was born. So, yeah, when people go, what's your favorite? My children have asked me, what's my favorite decade? It's not going to be the 70s. It's just not. I'm sure people are having a good time. It sounded like they had a good time. But for me, I don't remember much of the 70s. 70s for me is really like 79 is like the first time I can start recalling things about sports. A little 78, but really 79. That's why I would love to be in a conversation. Like we were at the A's offices and we were talking about how do we promote things? How do we do things? How do we go forward? And I'd be like, sometimes we get into history and we forget our younger audience. We kind of forget about them. And one of the reasons that we forget about them is that we just think everybody knows. And I can take you back to when I was a kid. Yeah, I remember Reggie Jackson a little bit as a Yankee. But for me as a kid, Reggie Jackson was an angel. He was a California angel.
I remember him from when I was growing up. The Bronx Was Burning was a thing ESPN was a documentary that ESPN was doing.
You remember,
he was a Yankee.
You remember Reggie Jackson as an angel in the movie The Naked Gun.
Okay, fair. But
he was going to kill the queen. That's what you remember Reggie Jackson for.
Rest in peace to the queen now.
Yes. So we'll have Zach Crizer coming up here on Dave Dombrowski, and then CJ Nitkowski. I didn't hear CJ. CJ had the day off.
Oh, say don't ask me. I don't have Sirius, so I can't listen.
So CJ is one of our guys, former left-hander, Major League Baseball, and of course a television broadcaster for the Texas Rangers, and is the host of Loud Outs on Sirius XM. He's the afternoon show, which it's like a perfect fit for him because he can do his show and then he's got the game at night with the Rangers. So like when they Was it this year that they played us and the Giants and they didn't leave San Francisco for a week? Was that this year?
I believe. I'm trying to think of what the schedule was for. That sounds about right. I know in 2020 they played us because they played the AL West, but that would be a little different. It was the same thing last year too, so they probably wouldn't have played. No, because our division interleague this year was the NL East, so it would have been last year.
Because he basically did the show from his hotel room in San Francisco.
Would have been last year.
And then he'd come to Oakland, and then he'd go to the ballpark when they played the Giants. And I was like, man, what a perfect fit. It's kind of like what we do, right? We do a talk show, and then I do a pregame show. Then the game hits. It's like you're raring. It's one thing just to turn on the mic. Good evening and welcome to Comerica Park, where the Athletics are taking on the Detroit Tigers here in the Motor City. I'm Chris Townsend, a longtime 8-time All-Star, Cody Elias. That's how they went. Hell, we're warmed up by game time.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was like golf, it's like we've played 4 or 5 holes. We're raring to go come game time. And so that's great for CJ. So CJ is going to join us coming up here at 3:30. So the Ninja at 1:45, Emo at 2:30, Crizer at 3, and then CJ at 3:30. Of course, last night, Christian Javier shoved the no-hitter, which is the 3rd no-hitter in World Series history. The Ninja, by the way, did you see he has a Kono is his?
Yeah, I thought it was the 2nd no-hitter, 3rd in postseason history.
I don't know.
Don Larson had the perfect game in the 1956 World Series. And then it was, I thought that was the 2nd one. And then Roy Halladay had the no-hitter in the division series.
2nd or 3rd.
Either way, it was a no-hit. Well, depending on who you talk to.
We can get into that. God, where was it?
Well, here, while you look for it, I do have the final. Here's the final call. Joe Davis, Fox.
Don't get me. I'm not excited.
Ryan Presley,
I'm
final
not excited.
Here you go.
Real Muto. Bouncing ball to 3rd. Picked by Bregman. Throw across in time. The Astros have a World Series no-hitter.
That'll be their 2nd one this year combined. First one was started by Christian Javier, 7 innings, 13 strikeouts, and closed out by Ryan Presley.
Are you going to say, I saw this in this, are you going to say that Noah Syndergaard being here, he was a part of a no-hitter this year?
Hold on. I got another one for you. Aaron Nola is now the 3rd pitcher to be part of multiple no-hitters in a single season. Can you name the other 2?
That he's what?
He's only the 3rd pitcher in Major League Baseball history to be part that he started a game where his team got no-hit multiple times in the same season.
Can I name the other thousands of pitchers
that
pitched?
It only happened to 2 guys who pitched.
And there's been thousands of guys.
Yeah, it only happened 2 other times.
So you came across this obscure note, and you're now acting like you're this. Where did you see this note?
Sarah had it. Our good friend Sarah Langs. The answer is Zach Plesac 3 times last year started the game when the Guardians got no hit, and Jim Perry in 1973.
Were they no hit or was it a Kono?
Let's see. No, they were no hit a few times last year. I don't know if all 3 of them were combined, but
how many no-hitters do we have this year? Was that last year? You saying
last year was Plesac, 1973. This year, Nola part of 2 combined no-hitters. Remember, the Mets combined no-hit them.
And you wonder why our game,
we had 1 no-hitter this year.
Who cares?
There was 1 real no-hitter. It was when young Reed Detmers had a no-hitter for
Maybe
the Angels.
we should understand and learn from other sports that no one cares about this obscure crap. Like no one says, you realize last year in the NFL that this guy was a part of 3 games where there was 3 fumbles that were recovered against a team from the East. Nobody cares.
It's still pretty crazy. It's only happened 3 times.
Nobody cares. Do you think that was a no-hitter? Technically in the box score, it says 0 hits. So it's...
Remember, we had this debate last year, was it 2020, when Madison Bumgarner had the no-hitter through 7 innings.
But he was on the mound for all 7.
But we called it not a no-hitter. So where are we drawing the line?
Well, this is different. This is multiple guys. Well, this is more than 1.
Yeah.
Do we count as a great feat that a group of men, because we've seen combined no-hitters be like 5 guys.
Yeah, well, this is 4.
Do we see, what is the most? Is it 6 or 5? Got to be around there.
Yeah, somewhere. Remember when the Angels had it? Remember when the Angels no-hit, was it the Mariners whenever Tyler Skaggs passed away? They combined no-hit the Mariners. There's a few guys then. The Mets used a bunch of guys this year when they combined no-hit the Phillies. I don't know what the exact numbers on how many guys, but I do think it's a no-hitter. Especially in the World Series, in a game where you gave up 5 home runs and got shelled the night before you come out and, well, pitch a no-hitter against a team that, like I said, hit 5 home runs the night before. I mean, they barely hit any balls out of the
But it doesn't. But in this case, just not giving up a hit, you pitched a shutout and you didn't give up a hit. The staff did.
Yeah, you can look at it as more of a team.
It's a staff thing.
You could call it more a shutout where you.
So, like a no-hitter, the significance of a no-hitter is that one man went out there, pitched against this entire team, got 27 outs, and didn't give up a hit. That's what a no-hit. That's the basis of a no-hitter.
I forgot a no-hitter this year. Remember the Reds no-hit the Pirates and lost because they walked in a run?
Yes, I do remember that.
That was combined. No one talked about that one. The Reds no-hit the Pirates and lost the game because they walked in a run.
Andy Hawkins had a no-hitter for the Yankees.
I remember seeing this somewhere. I think
it was lost to the White Sox. I want to say it was at Old Comiskey. Look that up. It would have been in the 90s sometime. But Andy Hawkins had a no-no and lost.
Yeah, it was the White Sox. Was
that Yankee or
it was
or
of the Yankees? And Greg Hibbert of the White Sox combined to retire the first 29 batters of the game. Yeah, July 1st, 1990.
1990. Yeah.
I would have been a year and a half old.
He had a no-hitter and lost. Can you imagine that? I just threw a no-hitter. But back to this. Christian Javier was fantastic. We'll talk to the pitching ninja about it. He's a great example of what you can do as a pitcher and not have great velocity. Even though 94 miles an hour, 93, 94 miles an hour, let me tell you something, folks. If anybody tells you 94 miles an hour is not hard, all I would say to that is, okay, let's meet at the Coliseum. We'll get the pitching machine going. We'll allow you to line up in the cage. We'll set it at 94 miles an hour, and we'll point it right at your ribs, and we'll put the ball in, poof, and let you get hit in the ribs by 94. And then ask you as you're on the ground, withering in pain, and you're now going to have a bruise on your back, however you took it in the side, you're now going to have a bruise for 2 weeks. I want you to tell me whether that's hard or not.
Oh, I know it is. I'm not going to sit here and say
94 is really hard. Let me tell you, I've been hit by 92. I got hit by Kyle Seabach, who played in the Mariners organization in Palomino. Palomino was juniors and seniors. The best high school players in San Diego got put on these Palomino teams, and I was a junior. Coming out of I was going to be a junior. Seabach was a senior. He played in the Mariners. He drilled me 92. It felt like I was going to die. I can't even imagine what 98's like.
How do you think Yordan Alvarez feels like they're getting plunked when Jose Alvarado came in and hit him in the first pitch?
Oh.
The walk in a run, he hit him 100 and I forget was even.
I can't do 100. You know how hard that is?
I don't know if he walked right to first base.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, let's say I was like an 88, around 88. If I hit you, I could go out right now and put you out in front of my garage. I'm 50 years old, throw it as hard as I can, and I'd bruise you for a week. It hurts. So point of the matter is, 94, though, since everybody sees velocity at a high rate these days, that doesn't seem that hard. But when you see that his glove goes up, and when you're a hitter, what you're seeing the glove, then he's not over the top. He's here, and that's where the pitching ninja, who, by the way, has gone mainstream on us, writing for Fox Sports now.
Yeah.
See, that's what happens. You get a little taste, and next thing you know, you're Hollywood. Next thing you know, he's not going to answer his phone. He's got a limo. He's got a private jet. We'll deal with the pitching ninja. But he talks about how there is no such thing as rise. People who say there's rise, that defies physics, gravity, that's not real. Reality is this, is that certain guys that can get spin on the ball stays higher longer. And it's not about your velocity. It's about the way the ball comes out of your hand and where it's coming out of your hand, right? So if you're somebody that comes from way up top, like you can't even see my hand if you're watching on Twitter or on YouTube, and you're like Verlander, who's 6'5",
Yeah, I think he's 6'5".
I don't think he's 6'6", but he's like 6'5". Or Glass now, who's what, 6'6"?
I mean, even Syndergaard, when he was throwing hard, he's a big dude too.
Yeah, when you're that tall and you're releasing the ball and it comes down, you can keep that ball high in the zone. Christian Javier does it by being like almost a 3/4 guy, and he's got so much spin on it that it stays in the zone. So it doesn't really, kind of like what we talked a lot about with like Jesus Luzardo. Jesus Luzardo, problem with Jesus Luzardo, the way his mechanics were, they just saw it. Guys see it. I used to talk about all the time, that plane, he was on like the same plane. Javier's kind of the same way, but the way he's doing it with his glove coming, and that's first thing you see as a hitter when you're up there hitting and Javier's coming down the mound, he's coming down the mound. The first thing you're seeing is that glove. Then here comes the ball. And actually the ball's coming from more of a slinger. He's coming from here. So deception and spin, and we're checking them, so I'm not going to accuse them of anything. I mean, we're checking the players. As long as we're checking the play, as long as Musgrove can be out there with shiny Dumbo ears, we're all good.
By the way, Verlander 6'5", Syndergaard 6'6", Glasnow 6'8".
Glasnow 6'8"?
Yeah. He's a big guy.
He's a shooting guard.
Yeah.
/ small forward.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he was that big.
Or he could be a stretch 4 maybe too.
That's a little small for a stretch 4.
Draymond Green's a stretch 4, and he's 6'6".
Draymond Green is not a stretch 4. He just shoots because they allow it, because he brings toughness and he rebounds. They really don't want him shooting.
As you said, it's not his fault ever when he does miss.
I just don't, but he's not. No, Kevin Durant is a stretch.
And he's six, as he says, he's 6'13".
He's 7'2".
Yeah.
By the way, an article again today. For some reason, my phone is still set up like I'm a sports talk show host, that I do all sports, so I get all the notifications. There's another article on ESPN Insider about whether Draymond's great or it's the system.
Oh, I saw that popped up on my phone too.
I was like, no, I'm not. I didn't read it. I'm not getting sucked in. Stop it. I don't care. But Javier was impressive, and he has been impressive. And it just goes to show, James Click, you want to fire this guy? You really want to fire James Click? And what these Astros, I mean, if I'm Jim Crane and I've had the success that I've had with these international signings, I mean, who's Christian Javier? What did he even sign for?
I want to say it was
peanuts.
I want to say they said 10,000 last night, but let me see.
Peanuts?
I thought it was 100,000.
Sunflower seeds. What did he sign for? We paid. What's his name? $5.1 million.
Apparently, there's a new guy that we just signed that's been going around on the internet. He's supposed to be pretty good, but we'll see.
Robert Poisson, $5.1 million. How much was Christian Javier?
The Astros decided to sign him for $10,000 a week before he turned 18. So I think it was like $100,000. This is an international deal.
Wait a minute. How much?
$10,000. It was $10,000 a week until he turned 18.
So on the books, that's not really $100,000.
Yeah, I'm trying to. A lot of these articles are behind a paywall, so I won't be able to open them.
Oh God, is that like the worst thing ever? Like when you can't click on they send you an article, like the San Jose Mercury News or the San Francisco Chronicle sends you an article, and then you click on it, and they go, "Oh, you're out of free looks. You can't look at it anymore." But I got to tell you, hats off to the Houston Astros that you basically paid a guy nothing, and he's going 6 scoreless with 9 strikeouts in the World Series. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, as much as I hate him, I think you really have to you really got to applaud what the Astros do. And this is why they keep winning. And this is why whenever you see let's rank the farm systems, we're going to rank the farm systems. You know what you do? Don't click on it. Don't click on it. Don't pay attention to it because it's garbage. Who was the person that told us that really it's only the top 5 and the bottom 5 that matter? Everybody else, the other 20 inside that, they're just guessing?
We had Jim Callis on recently.
Was it Jim Callis?
By the way, Javier made $620,000 last year. He made $749,000 this year.
Okay. The guy last night, if you watched the World Series, makes $749,000.
There's some incredible numbers on him too. Second half of the year, he's allowed a 152 opponent's batting average.
And how much is he making?
700. What was it again? $749,000 according to Baseball Reference.
Okay.
He threw a fastball slider 98% of the time. This one, Tom Verducci threw out, and I kind of rounded it up because it was during an at-bat for the inning ended. Hitters in his last 37 innings, he said 36 last night, but it was 2 outs, are 8 for 17 versus him.
How much is he making?
8 for 117. 749,000.
749,000.
Only the second individual pitcher to have a no-hit bid of 6+ innings in a World Series game since Jerry Koosman in the 1969 World Series Game 2.
How much is he making?
749,000, according to Baseball Reference.
So, are the Astros showing you in some ways, and some teams do it, right? They show you all this talk about payroll can be overrated. It can.
I think they were 9th in payroll this year overall in baseball.
It can. It all this talk about money and it can be overrated. It can. Verlander stinks in the World Series. He's making how much?
$25 million this year, I believe.
He's going tonight. He's 0-6 with a 6.07 ERA and 8 career World Series starts. That's not a small sample size.
I listened to Hembo earlier. Paul and McKeedy is on with Buster Olney. Give you a couple things. 15 of the 19 hits that Verlander's given up this year have gone glove side. So literally he's not missing many bats. That was interesting. 54 pitchers have made 5 innings. Have made at least 5 World Series starts in their career. Nobody has a higher ERA than Justin Verlander. And he's never walked off the mound with a lead in any of his World Series starts.
And that's 8. That's 8 career
Yeah.
World Series starts. He's never walked off without a lead. This is the one thing that we can get into because we got a ton of pitchers on today. Well, we got
3.
We got the Ninja, Emo, and we got CJ. Verlander, like when we face Verlander, I know going into the pre, we talk a lot about obviously the fastball, but his breaking balls have just been amazing, right? Ever since he left Detroit, he's reestablished, retooled, whatever you want to call it, his slider. Because in Detroit, you got a high dose fastball, curveball, changeup when you face a Justin Verlander. Right? That was Verlander at his peak, at his prime. He had like the Nolan Ryan curveball changeup combo. Remember that? The big 12-6, then the changeup. It was like a Bugs Bunny change. He had all that. He goes to Houston, and whatever they did with him, whatever magic that they have when they change players.
Sorry. I'll eventually change that.
Can't you just put it on buzzer?
I said I'll eventually change. I always forget. I've been pretty good about not letting it go off.
So,
Verlander goes to Houston and they change.
Can I get back to Verlander, not your alarm? Verlander, his curveball and breaking balls this year, they're unhittable. Opponents batted 179 with just 14 extra base hits. That's a 263 slug. 263.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He threw in the regular season, he threw a slider 28% of the time, his curveball 19% of the time. The Astros are real big on spin rate. That's why they loved Ryan Presley when they traded for him, their closer. They loved his curveball and his spin rate. They put I don't know if you saw like what they've been doing on the World Series, but when they go back to the camera angle where the pitcher is getting ready to throw, they have the spin rates there.
Yeah.
Their average spin rate's like 2,888 revolutions per minute. And then the Phillies was like 24. Like the Astros really love spin rate.
But here's the problem. That's the regular season.
Yeah, in the postseason, it's not really working out.
You didn't ask me about the postseason.
It's not really working out for old Justin in the postseason.
Postseason, he has allowed 12 runs, 19 hits, and 15 postseason innings. Opponents are batting 306, 5 extra base hits. I mean, the guy in the regular season hasn't showed up in this spot. I mean, really everything before is irrelevant. As much as we delve into numbers and whatever, what Justin Verlander did as a man 15 years ago, 10 years ago, doesn't matter today. Doesn't matter. Just does not matter. What matters is who he is today. He's a completely different person. He's a different pitcher. So comparing what he did against the Giants, was that in 12?
Yeah.
So that's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Would you want to compare like
he was 29 then?
To think how ridiculous that is that people bring up, and we bring up these stats, but some of these are just they're irrelevant, right? Like, for example, if I said, let's compare Cody from 10 years ago when you were what, 24?
24. Wow, great. Yeah, 24.
Are you the same person?
No, I wasn't even married the first time then.
Would it be ridiculous to compare you, your skills, who you are, mentally, physically, everything about you then to now?
Not at all. I mean, I would.
So why would we do it with an athlete then?
Yeah.
Like he's different? Like Verlander has it. Let me tell you something. In your 30s, your body changes. Men, women, doesn't matter. Your body, you're unbeatable. You're undefeated, right? In your 20s. You can do anything to your body. You're ready to rock. You get into your 30s, things start to change. Why would I compare Justin Verlander at 39 to 29?
It's an unfair.
That's dumb.
It's an unfair comparison. I think the only two guys you can do that to right now are LeBron James and Tom Brady because they are literally beating Father Time.
But I would not compare them, their actual skill set, and go, well, you know what he did with the Patriots in 2007? I'd be ridiculous.
They were 19-1 that year.
I mean, what would I really compare LeBron James 20 years ago?
Wow, as a rookie, wow, you're really going back to LeBron.
I'm like, why would you do that? That's dumb.
Yeah, and like I brought this up because this is when after Verlander had that bad start against the Mariners and the ALDS, David Feldman, our historian, put up Verlander in his career versus the A's in the postseason. 5 starts, 4-0, 1.24 ERA, no runs allowed in his last 30 innings. Versus all others, this is after that start against the Mariners. 26 starts, 10-11, a 4.17 ERA. So Verlander's numbers are inflated, are good because he pitches well against the A's. Everyone else, not so good.
Well, he pitched well against the Yankees.
That was before we saw the start against the Yankees. Yeah.
He's so in Verlander's career, and you can only face who you face. And he's faced the A's and the Yankees a lot in the postseason. So against the A's and Yankees, really good. Against everybody else, not so good. Why was Christian Javier so good? Why has this guy who developed this really cool following on Twitter gone mainstream? The pitching ninja. Rod Friedman will join us next right here on A's Cast Live.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine with your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrier locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Big Murph, Sean Murphy stopped by A's Cast Live to talk about what Stephen Vogt has meant to his career.
You know, Stephen sort of ushered me into my career. My first spring training, he was there. You know, he was the guy I looked up to. I followed him around. And he took me under his wing when he didn't have to, and he made time for me when he didn't have to. And it speaks to who he is as a person. He's just a tremendous person. I can't say enough good words about Stephen. He's a genuine person. He cares. He's sincere with everything he does and everything he says. And it's gonna be a tough day for everybody.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Hey, A's fans, you know that running your own business is a slugfest every day. That's why businesses have been counting on Mechanics Bank since 1905. From operating lines of credit to equipment and real estate loans, they can help build your lineup to meet today's challenges and prepare for tomorrow's opportunities. Stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com today. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. All loans subject to program eligibility and credit approval.
A's fans, there is no better way to stay in touch with the A's and even our players than following us on social media. Just head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social for a full list of our social coverage, from player accounts to Twitter handles and more. Now is the time to stay in touch. Head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social today.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Crizer Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Crizer Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Crizer Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Crizer Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
You know, it is pretty amazing that all you have to do to know exactly what's going on, Baseball Savant does a really good job of telling you exactly what's happening in a game. So instead of waiting for MLB Network or Fox or whoever, you can go to Baseball Savant. You can follow the game. You can follow every pitch. I mean, they're going to tell you, I could tell you, like right now, Christian Javier's four-seam fastball averaged last night 93.4 points. Is that me being some magician that I was charting every pitch and then I factor that all together? No. I can tell you threw 25 sliders. He threw 2 knuckle curves. I mean, they'll give you your vertical break, your horizontal break. They'll give you the spin. He's got tremendous spin on his fastball.
So you're telling me he did the exact opposite of what Lance McCullers Jr. did the night prior? He threw fastballs?
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. That's actually a good point. It's like a lot of people, there's different ways to get her done. Right? Lance McCullers is afraid of his. Lance McCullers throws the exact same speed almost that Christian Javier does. And that's where science and data has been great for the game. Because if I just sat there with a jugs gun and I'm just a scout and I'm like, oh, McCullers throws 94. Oh, Christian Javier throws 94. But their 94s aren't equal. They're different. A lot's different. How they pitch, where they release it from, how does the hitter see it, the spins, everything's different. And the same fastball for McCullers is way hittable compared to the same fastball for Javier, which is practically unhittable. But yet, miles per hour, they're the exact same. Gets back to, as much as the data wants to tell you all this different stuff, and we can look at the data, the most important thing is, what does the hitter see? Can't see what you can't hit. And that is the biggest change, that what we're finding out is what keeps hitters disrupt hitting. Beating hitting is disrupting rhythm and timing, as Scott Emerson will tell you at 2:30 over and over and over again, right? We need to disrupt the rhythm and timing of the hitter. That's what the pitcher's job is. We want to believe everything is about just throwing it by the hitter and he can't hit it. But a lot of that still is disrupting the hitting, is disrupting the rhythm and the timing of the hitter. And what we find out with numbers is they find out what you're good at, right? Getting back to Verlander, they were able to bring Verlander in Houston and go, you know what? Less curveball, more slider. And this is why. And Verlander had to buy into it. I remember the same thing happened with Garrett Cole. I don't remember what pitches it was, but the guy that came from Pittsburgh was not the same guy after a couple months in Houston, and they turned him into a guy that ended up getting $300+ million from the Yankees. Actually, you know what? Garrett Cole should be giving part of that contract to the Houston Astros.
Yeah,
because he was not in Pittsburgh. He was just a blow you away kind of guy.
He wasn't a big strikeout guy in Pittsburgh, though. He was more of the Pirates pitching philosophy under Ray Sears when he was there with Clint.
Well, that's not. But you got to be right on this. He wasn't a big strikeout. He was a velocity guy.
Yeah,
he was as I said, he was a try and blow you away guy. They refine him, make him better. They make his secondary stuff better, which then makes his fastball better. And that's the Garrett Cole you saw at the end of the run with the Astros and who you see now with the New York Yankees. But whatever the Astros saw in Cole, God, who told me that story? I think it was Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart told me a story while we were working together, A's pre- and post-game live on NBC. Yep, this is a good one. Chris Carter. Chris Carter's a D-back. And Dave Stewart's the general manager of the D-backs. He wants to get rid of Chris Carter. And I don't want to say I'm speaking for Dave, but Dave, Dave's told me a lot of stuff that I can't say, right? This was one he didn't say I couldn't say. Who cares? It's Chris Carter. Remember the Chris Carter that everybody said was going to be the next great? He was Mark McGwire. He's reincarnated Mark McGwire.
I think he's now playing in Mexico.
Oh, I know. He's the next Mark McGwire for the A's. Got to get him up. Sacramento. I took many phone calls. Townsend, this guy, he and Michael Taylor are the next two great Oakland Athletics. You just watch. Where were you in like 2009, 2010 when every caller wanted to talk about Carter and Taylor?
I was a sophomore, going to be a junior in college.
Yeah, where were all of you in the postgame show when Chris Carter and Michael Taylor were the next great A's? That's the next Canseco McGuire there.
That was right after the two Matts, right? The other Matts.
The two Matts were fun. Matt, what were they? Matt.
One guy that ran into the wall. And
Matt Carson ran into the wall playing center. The other Matt was who? Edwards, something.
2000. Let's look at it.
No, it wasn't 2008. It would have been 2000, probably 11 or 12.
I thought it was prior to that.
No. The Mats were I'm telling you right now, it's not 2008.
I don't know why I keep thinking he ran into the wall in 2008. Okay.
No. God, no. He's probably in college at the time or just in the minor leagues. It's I'd go 11, 12.
Okay, so 11, I don't see any Mats.
The great Connor Jackson out of Cal. Does everybody? He had that What was the fever? The valley fever we'd never heard of, where you get spores into your nose?
Matt Carson. This is 2010. Matt Carson and I don't see another Matt on here. Matt Watson.
Matt Watson.
He was 31 years old.
Matt Carson and the two Matts. Does everybody remember those post-game shows?
He was 31 and Carson was 28.
Matt Carson did go on to play for the Dodgers. He did have a run other than the A's.
6 career home runs. He didn't even play in a game for the Dodgers.
Oh, it was Minnesota and Cleveland. He moved on.
He hit 177 for the A's.
I swore he played for the Dodgers.
2010, he hit 177, 4 homers, 9 runs driven in.
Okay.
At age 28.
Back to the story. So
Chris Carter.
So the Astros called Dave Stewart, and they want to make a trade. This would have been the Jeffrey Luhnow. And I'm assuming that they still operate kind of the same. Well, long story short, because we're going to, we're all the pitching ninja coming up. The Astros said, listen, we want Chris Carter only if he agrees to change. So they gave Dave the parameters of what they wanted him to change. Didn't say why, didn't go into that, but they just said he's got to agree to be open to making changes, whatever these changes were. If not, Astros don't want him. So Dave had to relay through the coaches, and Chris Carter agreed that he would be willing to try, and Chris Carter got traded to the Houston Astros. And what did he play there? 2-3 years?
3 years with Houston.
3 years.
He had 90 home runs with the Astros. 218 batting average.
So would he have been in the minor league system for the D-backs at the time when they traded him?
Let's see. He was originally debuted in 2010 for the A's.
Yeah.
Well, I'll actually have to go to his. Let me go pull up his minor league stats. His best year was actually with Milwaukee when he hit 41 home runs.
And then couldn't get a job.
Then he played for the Yankees for a little bit, and that was it. He was playing in. Well, Stockton wasn't part of the A's back then. Let me go to. I'll find it.
Anyway, that's what Houston does. So they brought in Garrett Cole. They brought in Justin Verlander. They see things, and that's kind of the genius of.
He was traded to the White Sox traded him to Arizona for Carlos Quentin in 2007. So Stu hadn't even been there.
Huh.
So maybe Stu just knows him. Because Luhnow took over the Astros in 2012 after he left the Cardinals, I want to say, something around there. Because he was part of the 3 years of tanking.
It's been a few years, so I can't remember exactly. All I know is that the Astros traded for him, correct?
Yeah, actually, he took over December. Yeah, so 2012 when Luhnow's first year. Let me see. I'll find.
Was Luhnow there when Carter was traded?
I'm gonna look. Yes, because Carter was traded after the 2012 season, so that would have been after Luhnow's first year.
Okay, so when Astros traded for him
for Brad Peacock and Max Stassi, and
you know what? He could have been representing him.
Oh, okay, yeah. Carter was traded with Brad Peacock and Max Stassi to the Astros for Jed Lowry and Fernando Rodriguez.
I always forget about Stu as the agent. So I get, did Stu represent him? Is that what it? This is not good programming, by the way. Just watching you type and research is not design effort.
Yeah, it looks like he was.
Okay, so that's what it is. So Stu was his representative. So it was Astros contacted Stu. Stu's the agent. Stu went to Carter. Carter said yes. Stu went back to would have been the A's and said, make the deal.
Yes, it was the A's. Yes.
That's what it is. All right. So
our good friends here too, just so you know.
Well, I got to tell you, we sit here and, the one thing that we loved was here we were, this friendship with somebody that was doing some incredible things, the merch. I mean, he had the identity. I mean, the pitching ninja was like the coolest thing. We loved to have him on the show. We wear the shirts. He was this new, fresh thing. I didn't know he'd go Hollywood. I didn't know that he'd go mainstream and that he would sell out on his fans to become. He's like Ric Flair. It's limos and Lear jets and Fox Sports. He's like A-Rod now. Probably gonna be wearing a mink coat when he's on. And he's writing, but. Congratulations. I mean, you went from being the coolest guy ever to now you are mainstream media. How does it feel?
Dude, I feel overexposed when you put it that way. My God. I have no idea how this even happened. This is crazy.
FoxSports.com. I mean, you went from the coolest thing on Twitter to being like, you're no different than like Tom Verducci now.
I know. That's ridiculous, isn't it? Like, I still feel the same. Like, I'm still sympathetic to the little guy. Like, I am the little guy, by God. I will never change.
That's what Britney Spears said. She said she'd never change, and look what happened.
Yeah, good.
They always say they're never going to change. You're not going to answer our phone calls. You're not going to know anybody. Next thing you know, you're going to be doing NFL, and the whole thing will be different.
That's true. It's QB Ninja. What can I do there? Like, I can absolutely, we got this.
You're going to be on like the Fox pregame going, Tom Brady's got to retire. He's got to go.
Yeah. Look at those mechanics. My God.
Great piece, though. Loved it. Christian Javier. It's so interesting. We were just talking about it, and it's so perfect to have you on, is you can have two different guys in two different nights, right? You can have Lance McCullers, who throws 94, and you can have Christian Javier throw 94. One guy doesn't scare anybody, and he's even scared of his fastball against left-handers, and the same guy throwing the same velocity is shoving it down their throats. Isn't it amazing? Velocity the same. Obviously, mechanics, how hitters see it is all different, but two different guys, same velocity, two different outcomes.
Oh, absolutely. Lance is a big, off-speed stuff guy, and Javier is huge on his fastball. What did he throw? 72% fastballs yesterday and shoved, and, he doesn't throw particularly hard. You're exactly right. It's all about attack angles and how your spin is helping your fastball move. And some of it is just funk in your delivery too. All that combines to make a pitcher nasty.
Yeah, the one thing that I think about Javier, and actually Smoltz got a little bit into it, they don't allow him to get too much into stuff. I wish they would, because it'd make the broadcast more interesting. We're normally, as pitchers, you're seeing guys that are here and then come here. But when you bring your glove out here, that's the first thing that a hitter's going to see. When the guy's coming down the mound, the glove is the first thing you see. And then normally a guy comes from up top, but that's not where Javier comes from. He's more, I wouldn't say a slinger, but he's kind of that 3/4. You talk about it in the article. That's got to be tough. Glove here, ball coming here, far different than a traditional way up here. So the key to pitching is, do the hitters see you or not? And I think that's the big thing. Hitters just don't see this guy.
I totally agree with you. And I think we get so focused sometimes on either spin rate or velocity or whatever it is, things that we can measure. The things we can't measure a lot of times is this deception. Like, is there funk in your mechanics that a hitter just can't pick it up? That is absolutely valuable. And we are starting to see people being judged by their arm slot and how the pitch actually carries and stuff out of it. But you're right. Like, if your glove is hiding it somehow, you look at Nestor, like Nestor Cortez has all these different arm slots, all this different funk that hitters just aren't used to. And because they're not used to it, it throws people off. So absolutely. And I think that, again, because we have the analytics, we get married to them. And I'm obviously not anti-analytics. I'm pro-analytics, but it's not the be-all and end-all of anything. There's a ton of stuff, even mental game stuff. You saw him meditating in the middle of the game. I think that's important as well.
Oh, I could tell you, routine. As someone who pitched a little bit in college, and then now I'm really trying to take my golf game to the next level. I've been reading these books about sports psychology, and the number one thing that you see in all sports is routine. You take guys out of their routine, they struggle. Hitters have routines, pitchers have routines, golfers, football players. I worked in the NFL for years. Pre-game routine for NFL teams is so key. And you talk about that, the mental side for pitching. And, when you're pitching in the World Series, it's so different because you now know that everybody's got a quick hook. It's just not your manager. It's not your pitching coach. I mean, it's the broadcasters. It's the media. You give up one hit and everybody's like, is the bullpen getting up? I mean, as a starting pitcher, you've got to know you don't have a long leash out there. That's a change in your routine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you saw what happened to Nola yesterday. Loads the bases. He was dealing, and then all of a sudden he's gone. And, granted, they put in Alvarado, who is a filthy, filthy dude. And you saw what happened, but Alvarado's great. But it's one of those things that as a pitcher, it's a whole different environment. Not only that, but just think you have the smartest people in the world trying to pick apart your delivery, looking for tips, looking for little things they can pick up, tendencies, little things they can pick up on. And they have cameras everywhere. You have cameras in the stadium. And they have time to focus on. In the regular season, you really don't, because you're on to the next game, the next game, the next game. This is all about, preparation and how hitters prepare for an individual pitcher. And things may get exposed that weren't exposed in the regular season.
When you're breaking down pitches, everybody wants to focus on what the ball does when it leaves the hand, right? Tunneling, what does it look like? The fastball, 2-seamer, 4-seamer, split, slider, whatever. But a lot of what happens from the ball leaving the hand is what you do mechanically before the ball leaves the hand. How much do you focus on that? And that gets back to Javier, where the glove comes up and a lot of things like that.
I try to focus on everything. I think when you simplify pitching too much, I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair to the pitcher. It's unfair to the game. And it's unfair to fans. Like, I think that everybody should try to understand as much as they can what hitters have to deal with, what pitchers have to deal with, and what makes folks successful. So I focus on all of that. Like, the other day, just trying to pick up if someone's tipping pitches or not. There's so many different things. And we're limited in views to their broadcast view. There are other views that may tell you more. When, a pitcher's focusing on home plate, you may see, I think I tweeted that Randy Johnson article where he was fanning his glove when he was throwing his slider and then scrunching it when he was throwing his fastball, because he's like muscling up. These are things that you maybe can't see from the center field view that you can see from the home plate view. So, all this stuff matters. Everything matters. And this sport is really, really tough. So that's what I try to show. Everybody loves the tunneling and the overlay videos, but there's way more to baseball and way more to pitching than just that.
Here's my answer to tipping pitches. All right, you ready? The number one tipper of pitches in the history of baseball is the only guy that got every vote to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Mariano Rivera told everybody, I got one pitch. This is what I'm throwing, and I'm throwing it every single pitch. So when he would come together and put his hand into his glove, however you'd move it, it was the same every time, because you knew a cutter was coming.
Oh, totally.
He didn't throw anything else. You go through, like, you can go through a full season. He randomly would throw a straight fastball. He threw cutter almost 100% of the time. If that's not tipping pitches, I don't know what is.
He actually said he might as well have told you a cutter was coming, because that was what's going to happen. He did everything but that and still ended up being the greatest greatest closer of all time. Yeah, that's a whole different animal. And, Randy Johnson, I'm sure Eduardo Perez wasn't the only one to pick up on him tipping pitches. When you throw 99, 100 miles an hour with a wicked slider and you're 6'10", it's going to leave a mark. Like, you can tell me it's coming. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, yeah, because not only, get back to the camera, Randy's coming down the mound at 6. So I don't even know if we actually got the tape measure out. By the time his right foot plants, remember, he's coming from the side.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even see my hand in the camera angle here. He's coming from the side. By the time he releases the ball, how close was he to home plate? Was it 60 feet, 6 inches?
I don't like, he would absolutely scare the living. I can't even imagine being a left-handed hitter hitting against that, or right. Like, I can't even imagine getting a box against that dude. Just snarling with that weird release like you don't see every day, and slinging it. Yeah, that's a whole different beast. And he could have absolutely glove signed his pitches and it wouldn't have mattered.
Have you broke down any of Verlander lately?
I've looked at him. He's obviously not as sharp as he was at points during the season. I'm hoping he bounces back today. I love watching him pitch. I love watching guys like him. He's 90 something years old and still throwing like touching 99 every once in a while. It's always fun. Like he's a legend, and I want to see him go out big, but he clearly isn't as sharp as he had been at points. I'm looking for him to fix it. I couldn't tell if there's anything particular other than just missing his spots. It's just hard to tell.
Yeah, because I just looking at the numbers, just easy numbers like curveball and slider this postseason, batting average against it way up, extra base hits way up versus the regular season. So something's going on that hitters are seeing something that's different from the regular season. And that's why I was just wondering, because, yeah, it is kind of tough because you look at the numbers and it's shocking to think how hittable he's been. Different decades of Verlander. I mean, we can go back to Verlander in his prime as a young man, now to 39, just in the World Series, major struggles.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a matter of hitters preparing better against him not being as sharp. It could be a variety of things. As we mentioned, pitching is so complicated and the game is so complicated. Little things might be a big difference. With him, it's really hard to tell, but I may go back and compare what he's looking like now, just like a simple overlay or just breaking down different parts of his mechanics to see if it's anything mechanical. I'm sure the Astros have done that as well. Like they're as good as anybody at picking this stuff apart.
And oh, by the way, the hitters get paid too.
Yeah,
sometimes you got to give them credit too.
Totally. Like I think we forget this part. Like you could throw the best pitch and it may get absolutely crushed. Or you could throw a bad pitch and you could throw a backup slider hitter, or a hanging curveball and a hitter swings and misses because it just threw their timing off. So there's so much more to getting a hitter out, or they just miss it. I mean, you think about golf, you just miss it, the ball's in the trees. Same thing with baseball, you just miss it, the ball's a pop up or a ground out versus a home run. So it's a tough sport, and it's dependent on so many different things.
You're right. Your club face is just a little open, a little closed. Quarterback throws it just a little high. It hits off the fingertips, and the DB intercepts it below. The field goal is just miss. I mean, everything. It's the precision in professional sports and the lack thereof. Man, I mean, the greatness versus when it doesn't work out. It's such a small. I mean, McCullers, he was hanging everything. You look at the box. All those balls were right in hit me range. And you put in the article how so many hitters, they don't have major uppercuts, but they've got a little up. And if you throw down in the middle of the zone, righty, lefty, you name it, that's the happy zone. That's where these guys are going to put their numbers on the back, as Cody likes to say, the baseball card.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's so many different things. It could be, you could be tipping your pitches and hanging pitches at the same time.
Yeah. Does it matter? Your hanging pitches doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally true. Although I did run a stat. This is interesting. Of pitches, I believe it was 101.7 miles an hour or above in the last 3 years. Middle hitters have 0 hits against that. And there is not it's not just ones or twos. There's a number of those pitches. So that's weird where you hear hitters can time a bullet, but yet like that's when you're getting around 102, you can do anything with that pitch and, throw it located almost anywhere. And you're going to be pretty successful on that.
Yeah. People just understand, you try and it's hard to explain. And that's where our game, I think, goes next is neuroscience. This is the brain. This is your eyes. Your brain sees it through your eyes. Your brain's then got to tell you what it is. Should I swing? Should I not? And the harder it's being thrown, the very less milliseconds or whatever they call it, you have to make that decision. And that's the thing. And if 88 versus 100 to 102, you just think your brain doesn't. So as much as we talk about, look how big he is, look how strong he is, look at that, it really is, what is your eyes and your brain, how fast they picking up and how fast they can tell you swing or not.
I could not agree more. Actually, in the off season last year, I was talking to a number of really smart folks saying we need to come up with some kind of number or some kind of measure of deception. Like we talked about Javier. We need to have we can do this because we can say, hey, all these pitches are around the same profile, but this guy doesn't get hit. What is it about him that makes him not get hit? And then go into the neuroscience of it, like when the hitter actually picks it up, see when they make the decision. You can do all this stuff. It's just now we're focused on the number. We're focused on what we can measure. And the problem with that is the things that you can't measure get overlooked when you do that. So people are just focusing on numbers. And if you can't put a number on deception, then it gets overlooked.
All right. I have a brilliant idea. And I think this is going to be, I have the best idea for you today. We will do that in a minute. I just thought about this, and I think you're going to love it. You're going to go, those A's Cast guys are brilliant, and it's for you. But let's get to, you come up with, obviously, the great nickname. Now you've come up with Kono. I thought that was funny. Where are you on that? Cody, do you think a no-hitter thrown by multiple pitchers is a big deal?
I do, yeah, especially in the World Series.
I don't. I think if one guy does it, it's cool. If one, I think it's great. If multiple guys do it, I see it as a shutout, and it just happens they didn't give up a hit.
I get it. It's not nearly as legendary as a one pitch. Like everybody wants to be that guy. Now, if you're talking about it as a team sport, and they view, like, I know when the Mets threw one, it was a big deal. They were sitting there going like, "Hey, this is a team thing." I think the Astros took that as well. Like they feed off each other. The depth of their pitching staff was shown. You can make it whatever you want it to be. I like giving it a name. I think if you put a name to it, like I said, if you put numbers to it, everybody likes it. If you put a name to it, now you got something. That's why I came up with it in the preseason. And it happened to be that it happened a couple of times this year, which was a good deal. Like I get to break out that name.
Now we're selling T-shirts. I mean,
right.
You're giving people a reason to really enjoy. I agree with you. A no-hitter, but you say combined no-hitter, that's like, wah, wah. You say Kono. Now we got, I think, hey, baseball, you might have something going on Baseball Reference.
Exactly. They should put that in there, shouldn't they? Like you participated in the Kono, like some kind of stat in there. Good idea.
There you go. All right. I came up with this because I wore one of your hats so my kids are cheerleaders, and I was at the high school football game and I was wearing your hat, and there's something about your logo that made multiple people ask me about the hat because they had no idea what it was. They just thought it was a cool hat. They're like, "What is that?" And so I explained to them who you are, the pitching ninja. So my idea is, everybody right now, it's the time of year, it's early November, you're thinking, "Oh, I got to get somebody something for Christmas," right? And you do not want to wait. You do not want to have this take forever, but you want to always get something that's cool that people will be like, "Oh, that's awesome." So when I start thinking about all your merch and all the cool stuff, I'm looking at the hat you have on is awesome. Is that a certain team?
No, I like the color combo, so I figured I'd go with it.
Look at the shirt for A's fans.
A good looking shirt.
I'm telling you, if you know somebody who is a baseball fan or somebody who's a hat head guy or likes cool T-shirts, your merchandise is perfect for Christmas. Absolutely perfect.
I couldn't agree more with that. Like that is, see, I can't be that overexposed if guys are walking up to you saying, "I don't know what that hat is." So I need to get out more, right?
No, it's perfect. You're at that point to where you're about to be the total rock star, but this is the process getting you to the rock star. Like, think about if someone's a baseball fan, how cool would it be if you got this in your stocking? And this, as you've said, hey, you can put wine, you can put beer, you can put Gatorade, you can put coffee. It's perfect for all liquid. I think about the shirts. I think about the hats. I think we need to get you out there, get your website out there, get people ordering now so to make sure you get it in time for Christmas. I think Pitching Ninja gear, ultimate Christmas gift.
Dude, I need you on my commercial. Like this is fantastic. But yeah, if you just go to pitchingninja.com, you can find all the greatest stuff. But yeah, like I agree with you. I think those mugs are outstanding. I'm a big fan of them, and I have some on the site. You can fill that up with bourbon and be really real. We'd be lit.
I mean, I'm just
I'm
saying.
not saying.
I'm just saying, but I mean, coffee. I mean, right now I got blue Gatorade in here. So I'm telling you, pitching ninja gear for Christmas, everybody will love it because what you did with the logo and what you're now becoming, I think everybody would love it. Because I know when I wear the pitching ninja hat, I always get comments on it.
Well, I am absolutely tweeting this out the second I get a hand on this because everybody needs to see this. Like, you are the best spokesman for pitching ninja stuff. I just wear it. Like, I don't know. I'm just not, I need to create like a commercial. You are the commercial for me. This is fantastic.
I told you this was going to be the best thing for you today.
You're right. I thought it was like some kind of stat or something. This is way better than that.
See, people don't understand A's Cast. We do a lot of we have to talk a lot of business. We're trying to get it. We got to talk politics. We got to talk business. We're trying to get a new ballpark. You just can't sit here and bore the masses on, hey, you realize that the slider for Verlander, the slug this postseason. I mean, at some point, people drown that out. You gotta. What affects people? Well, I know people always are looking to buy for Christmas. They're always looking for something unique and cool. You know who's unique and cool? You, my friend.
Wow. That is like the best compliment. I'm going to play this for my wife too, because she doesn't really think so.
That won't work. I hate it. Work. People tell me I'm cool all the time, and my wife goes, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, exactly. I just, I show her my baseball card. I got a baseball card. Like, how sick was that? I had like a little Topps baseball card that they made for me. And I thought that was going to give me cool points, but no, it didn't work with her.
Now, what about a bobblehead?
Ooh, I would love a bobblehead. That'd be
sick. What you do? You take the head of the bobblehead is the baseball with the ninja mask.
Oh, absolutely.
And have a body. Yeah. Well, we know somebody makes bobbleheads. Maybe that. Can we? I don't know how long. He told us how long it takes. How long does it take?
Oh, no, I forget. Because we got some.
It would just be generic mold. We're not doing a special body. He's just got to make the head, and boom, we can mass produce it.
I'm sure we can find out. I know the guy. We can ask.
We can do a joint A's Cast one. Do an A's colored one with a ninja head on it, and I'll split it.
Are you coming out to the winter meetings in San Diego?
You know, I've debated about it. I don't know. Like, I am trying to get. I do a lot every day, and I'm trying to get some breathing room between me and baseball for a little bit. But I might do that. San Diego's great.
Well, we'll take you to dinner. We'll have it. We're going to be there. We'll have our set there. And that's December 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Correct.
You show up, I'm going to sell some merch. I'll sell you some merch.
I might just send you some, and you'll just be hawking it out there like you're way better than I am.
I'm telling you right now, I could be putting up ninja stuff all over our studio that people are going to see. I mean, hey, I'll help you out.
There's a banner back here too, right?
Oh, hell, it's cool, man. We need to make baseball cool.
Well, that is the biggest thing, and I totally agree with you. We need to do something to keep the sport alive and keep fans interested and bring in new fans. And I think this type of stuff does that. Like, instead of the boring, like people in wah, you hear about, I think people get tired of analytics sometimes because they just get numbers thrown at them, and everybody hates math, or a lot of people hate math. I think something fun is cool. And maybe talking about some of the softer stuff like deception that you were talking about, like that stuff that maybe if I'm on the couch, I can sit there and go, oh, I get it. Like, there's a little deception here, as opposed to getting, hearing 3,047 RPMs. What does that mean? What does that mean, anybody? I don't know.
What am I, at a car race?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm with you. I can do both, though. Like, I like to go in and out of both. And I love the numbers, but I don't think you can live and die by them.
All I'm going to say is, let me help you.
You already have. This has been fantastic. Like, I'm going to I should probably put this on the site too, so that everybody sees when they visit that Chris is just hawking my stuff.
That's what it's all about, my friend. Enjoy the rest of the World Series. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, dude. It's been great.
The pitching ninja right here on A's Cast Live. Look how cool this shirt is. When all the players wear it, we wear it. People love it. The mug. Can you see? Can you get a good look at that?
Yeah, I can see it.
It's kind of weird because of the light.
Well, hold on. With this new fancy camera, there we go.
Look how cool that is.
Oh, here, hold on.
And this is what I put my coffee, I don't drink.
That's as far as I can go.
I don't drink anymore, but if I did drink, yes, I would put cocktails in here. Got the red one. This one's never been used. This is just a prop for the show.
All right, let's zoom out. That's we're superimposing you too much.
The pitching ninja, and he's right. And that's why, and that's where I think you've gotten it over a while, how I like to operate. I don't want to go full on just let's talk numbers all day long. It's boring. It's not what sports is about. You got to talk about fun stuff and fun, And like I think great examples when you talk about Javier's, I could sit here and I can give you all these spin. I can give you spin, vertical, horizontal break, all that kind of stuff. But one thing, like you said, something you can look for is look how the glove comes high. He doesn't come around because most pitching coaches over the years, these guys, you're taught to tuck and come under, not to, because you know what the danger is of what you do when you do this.
I wasn't a pitcher, so no.
The danger is if you don't come down and you go across your body like this, you fly open. What happens when you fly open?
Body's exposed.
Danger. When you start flying open, you'll hear broadcasters talk about guys who played, and they talk about when you start flying your body open, well, your arm can't catch up. So your arm lags so much, you put the pressure on your shoulder, your rotator cuff, you put it on your elbow. And so that's the one thing. That's why they don't teach guys to come out here with their glove, because you can start getting that way and not coming straight down. And then that can be no bueno. But I think it really is fascinating. You can have two guys back-to-back nights, both right-handers, both not tall.
No, McCullers is, let's see, Javier is, of course, Christian Javier is 6'1", and
decent-sized man.
Lance McCullers Jr. is probably about the same. Sorry, the page isn't loading. But McCullers Jr. is 6'1", so the same.
Okay. I'd never seen that. I just know watching these games the last two nights, they're about the same height.
Yeah. Well, they're exact same height now.
They're the exact same.
Yeah.
So here you got two guys. I mean, it's a fascinating case study the more you think about it. You got two guys. 1 6'1", 1 6'1". One throws 94, the other throws 94. But their fastballs are completely different. We have a major announcement.
Correct.
Did that just come down?
Yes.
Coming up. I want to give it its due. Coming up next, major announcement having to do with your Oakland Athletics right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Senior writer for MLB Pipeline Jim Callis stopped by A's Cast Live and discussed the prospects he likes in the A's farm system.
I like Ken Waldichuk. I think he's a little unheralded. I think Tyler Soder, like Shea Langoliers got there this year. I really like Shea Langoliers. I think having Shea Langoliers makes it easier to let Tyler Soderstrom do what he does best, which is hit. And it's always tough when you have a really offensive-minded catcher like Tyler was, where if you catch him, it detracts from his hitting because of the time you have to devote to catching and then the physical toll. So I think they're going to get more out of Tyler Soderstrom's bat.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine with your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Bay Area locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Crizer Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Crizer Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Crizer Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Crizer Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Coming in at 5'3", it's #1 mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
When Northern California businesses need some pop in their lineup, they call the bank rooted in the East Bay. Mechanics Bank. Since 1905, Mechanics Bank has been helping Bay Area and Northern California businesses find success and perform at the top of their game. See how they can make a difference in your business today. Call or stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
All righty. Do we have the breaking news sounder?
Yes. Here we go. All right.
Live from the ABC Sports Desk in New York, I'm Chris Townsend. Breaking news on the Oakland A's front. The man is a legend, has had one of the great careers in the history of baseball, recently inducted into the Oakland A's Hall of Fame, and hard to believe he's not going to be in the organization anymore. But you want to talk about a run in professional sports, whether you're talking baseball, football, basketball, hockey, tennis, golf, soccer, whatever sport. Am I missing any major sports? NASCAR. You know, I love me some NASCAR.
No, I think you got them all.
Rubbin's Racing.
Speaking of that, World Cup coming up in a few weeks for soccer.
Is that going through Christmas, by the way?
Starts November 20th. So I think it's going to be going through around Christmas.
So there'll be like World Cup games on Christmas Day.
They keep advertising Christmas stuff, so we'll see.
Well, I do, yeah, but is it going to be on Christmas?
I don't know the full schedule. Don't worry, the U.S. probably won't get to the final. But we're in the World Cup again.
Well,
That's all that matters. We're back in it.
It's because you hate this country, isn't it? You don't like this country. You don't respect the red, white, and blue. You don't root for them, do you?
Well, I mean, I watched the World Cup as a former soccer player, but now that we got Kristen Pulisic back, it's all that matters. He plays overseas during this. He doesn't play in the MLS. He's too good. Who? Yeah. But that's
in Qatar, right?
Correct. That's the guy that you want to look for. But anyway, back to this. Keith Lippman, who spent 52 years in the A's organization as a player, minor league manager, director of player development, and most recently a special advisor to player development, announced his retirement. Now, as you mentioned, Lip, short for Keith Lippman, was inducted into the Athletics Hall of Fame this past year. He received baseball's Tony Gwynn Lifetime Achievement Award prior to the 2020 season and was honored with the Sheldon Chief Bender Award from minor league baseball in 2010 for distinguished service in being instrumental in player development during his career. This is a quote from Billy Beane in the release that we got. Oh, Billy and David Forst. For 5 decades, Keith worked for the A's. He brought passion, deep knowledge, kindness, and integrity to the field with him every single day. No one better embodies the spirit of this organization. Through his teaching and his leadership, Keith enhanced the careers and lives of countless A's players, coaches, managers, and staff. We're incredibly grateful that he shared so much of himself with this team and incredibly proud to call him a friend. We will miss him. We will miss his daily presence dearly, and we wish him and his wife, Corinne, all the best in their well-earned retirement. So congrats to Lip on an incredible 52-year run with the A's or Oakland A's organization. Remember, last year it was Voos. Now so we lost Voos and Lip to retirement. What other last name abbreviated to a nickname, or who's next?
Lippman has worked for the A's longer than I've been alive.
Yep. So he's played for 9 seasons in the minors from 1971 to 1979. Managed for 8 from 80 to 87 and was the director of instruction.
As a player, he's working. So, as a player, minor league manager, director of player development, special advisor, all that kind of stuff. Just think about this. Keith Lippman has gotten a paycheck from the athletics organization, not the Oakland Athletics, the Athletics, because he started in Kansas City. He's been getting a paycheck from the Athletics longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
I just turned 50. Think about that. When we talk all the time about one of the special reasons why it's great to work here. There's a lot of reasons why, but there's a real special reason why you love working for the Oakland Athletics. Because it is a real family atmosphere. One of the very rare things that still happens in professional sports. When you have Keith Lippman, 52 years. Think how long Billy Beane has been here. Think how long David Forst, Pam Pitts. You think
Mickey.
You think Mickey Morabito. You think of everybody down the line. And there's a lot of things that have been around the organization as of late, and a lot of negativity, and a lot of people say things to you, and you just don't understand. It's a great place to work. It truly is a great place to work. And Keith Lippman is a great example. And you talk about somebody who's selfless. This is a guy who, outside of being a player, his job for all these years has been to help everybody get better. It's not about him. It's never been about him. Keith Lippman has been about, how do I make these players, these coaches, these managers, heck, the people in player personnel, the people in the front office, how do I help everybody be better? That's what his job has been. And he has touched generation after generation after generation of athletics players. I mean, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, you name it. He's played a role in a lot of people's lives that has gone beyond baseball. When we've talked to people and they talk about Keith Lippman has given a lot of advice that has nothing to do with baseball to people. About careers after baseball. He's helped so many people with careers beyond the game. That's the kind of man he is. He is a teacher. He's an advisor. He's a friend. He's a shoulder to cry on. I mean, there's a lot of tough conversations in this business. A lot of dreams are ruined. Now time, that dream's over. It's now time you got to do something else. Well, Keith Lippman has been there for people in that transition. We've had players on recently. You talk about Kurt Suzuki, how Keith Lippman helped him. Think about Sean Doolittle. Think about this guy right here. I don't even know if my thing works anymore.
Might need a battery replace.
Yeah, it's not happening. But old Do here.
Friend of the program.
Sean Doolittle, who was supposed to be our first baseman, between knee, hand, wrist, and all these different injuries, Sean Doolittle's career was toast. He was never going to be that player that the A's thought he was going to be. So who did he go to?
Keith Lippman.
Hey, you remember when I used to pitch in college? I threw kind of hard. I'm left-handed. Why not? Keith Lippman said, why not? Later that year, right through the organization, right to the big leagues, now a career as a World Series champion, an all-star, a multimillionaire, a man who has taken his platform to try and help other people. Sean Doolittle has taken his celebrity, his money, his platform with his wife and have done nothing but try to help other people. So when you think about like what is the Kevin Bacon thing?
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
You could do like how many degrees to Keith Lippman? Like how many people has Sean Doolittle and his wife helped?
A lot.
Okay. Well, Sean Doolittle probably doesn't get that opportunity to help those people unless Keith Lippman is a part of his life. Because Keith Lippman, a lot of people would have been, you gave it a good shot, buddy. You're injured. You're broken. Go finish that degree. Where do you go? Virginia?
Virginia, yeah.
Did he graduate? I don't know if he graduated.
It's a good question.
But you know what? Keith Lippman could have said, hey, buddy, go finish that degree. You're going to do well in whatever you want to do. It's over. But no. Keith Lippman came together. Sean Doolittle came a pitcher. Sean Doolittle. I mean, that tells you a lot about Keith Lippman and what he's done for a lot of people's lives. And the fact that he's retiring after 52 years in the game, I mean, I can't say it enough. He has gotten a paycheck from the A's, Kansas City, Oakland, longer than I've been alive. Longer than our next guest has been alive. The great Scott Emerson.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing real good.
Well, we were just talking about it's been announced that Keith Lippman has finally retired after 52 years in the organization. And I was just trying to let people know that what this man has done for so many people's lives, whether it's players, it's coaches, it's managers, it's front office, his whole life has been about making people better. His whole life has been about how do I get you to where you want to go? Then he's also been there for people when their career is going to end and how do they transition? I just mentioned Sean Doolittle. Sean Doolittle was supposed to be our first baseman. He was broken. He was hurt, but Doolittle went to Lip and said, hey, remember when I used to pitch? So they decided, let's give it a chance. Next thing you know, he's a World Series champion. He's an all-star. Look how many people Doolittle has helped with his celebrity off the field. I mean, it's all these different things. I'm sure you have Keith Lippman stories. The man's career is absolutely amazing. It's really one of a kind.
Yeah, probably the biggest influential person in my life on the baseball side. You know, I've been in this organization 20 years and, Lip started out as my boss, became a friend and a mentor, an unbelievable leader who looked out for people more so than just baseball players. He molded a lot of us that are on our major league coaching staff. And I just can't say enough about Keith Lippman. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And, he's just a person of integrity. I mean, the guy used to make us read books and become better coaches and leaders by influencing us to read these books. And we'd have to give presentations to the rest of the coaching staff in the minor leagues. And, he's just the best, man. And I love that guy, and I wish him well in retirement.
You mentioned your time here, and I try and tell people that what makes this organization special and different from most professional sports organizations, just not in baseball, is the family atmosphere. And it's special. You don't get that many places. And everybody has been around for a long time, starting with Lippman all the way to Billy Bean to everybody around. Mickey Morabito's been here forever. Steve Vucinich, who just retired, had been here since he was 18 years old. I think that's one of the things for all of us who are A's employees that we try and tell people when there's times where people aren't happy with the organization. They ask, hey, listen, this is a great place to work. This is a very special place to work.
Yeah, the grass is greener on the other side, per se, right? I look at, Gil Patterson's been here 3 separate occasions, our minor league pitching coordinator. I look at Rick Rodriguez, who's been here a long time as, a minor league pitching coach, a bullpen coach, a rehab coordinator now. I look at Craig Lefferts. Those are the guys that Don Schultz, those guys have been in this organization a long time. Pitching coaches in this organization, guys that I look up to, guys that I collaborate with. And it's always good because we're always changing our thoughts and our ideas, and we're running them by each other, and to be able to be close and trust people. When you're trying to get people better, you want people that you can trust. And, obviously our front office, David Forrest and Billy Bean, Dan Feinstein have been here a long time as well. And they're that mold and glue that runs the place. And, they entrust all of us and our opinions and let us be creative and come up with new ideas. So it's definitely a great place to come every day.
We talk about the World Series and the playoffs, and I think more now than ever, we learn stuff in the playoffs that then we can implement during the regular season the next year, different ideas, different usage of players, how to utilize players, strategies and everything. So how much, maybe you do, maybe you don't. How much do you watch the World Series and how much do you pay attention? And we'll throw playoffs in there too of what other teams are doing.
Yeah. Being a baseball guy my whole life, I'm a baseball fan. And anytime I get to go learn baseball, watch baseball, I'm trying to learn and watch baseball. And, that's my life, and this is what I love to do. So, yeah, obviously I've been watching the playoffs and digging in on what teams are doing, what new technologies are out there, what they're using during the series, kind of listening to the announcers and reading up on what teams are thinking about. And, it's been a really good playoff, in my opinion, this year. A lot of exciting ball games, and I think the fans are into it, and I think it's good for baseball.
Take us through kind of a new strategy for starters where we used to say, I want 4 pitches. I want hitters to think I've got a fastball, I've got a curveball, I got a slider, a changeup. I've got a menu. So Chris Townsend's menu is a nice menu, right? But I don't throw them all the same or equally as well. And now you can have certain pitchers say, the hell with your menu. I've got a good fastball. I got a good slider. We already know pitchers aren't going deep in games. I'm giving you what I got, my best 2. Let's go. It's a little bit different of a philosophy, wouldn't you say, over the years, where we want you to have 4, at least 3. Now it's give me your best 2 and let's go.
Well, I think it's, like you said, your philosophy. What are you going to go out there and accomplish? You look at the two-pitch pitcher, that's generally your reliever, right? So they only have to go through the lineup one time. If you have pitches that are, what we consider major league well above average pitches, then by all means, you get to cut your arsenal down from 4 to 2 pitches and throw those. But sometimes, people always say, well, if you got your slider's your best pitch, you should throw it more. But what they don't understand is, okay, now I'm compromising counts. I'm going to have to throw them in different situations just to throw it more. My opinion is if I got my best pitch, I'm not going to throw it more. I'm going to throw it in the right time, in the appropriate time that I'm supposed to be throwing this pitch. And that's my opinion. Obviously, if you have 4 pitches and you need all 4 pitches to get one hitter out, you really ought to think about, your 4 pitches. But, my best thing that I like to tell our pitchers is you got to have a strength that can cover that hitter's weakness. That's why you got to be able to move the fastball to both sides of the plate. That's why you got to be able to go soft away with something. So if you can move your fastball to both sides of the plate and you can go soft away, there's the start of your arsenal, because you should be able to attack a weakness from the hitter. Now, everybody says, let's go strength on strength. Well, if I can go strength on the weakness, that's a lot better than going strength on strength.
See, that's why I love talking to you, because everybody's going to do what I got in front of me now. Everybody's going to have baseball savant. It's going to tell you all the numbers. It's going to give me spin rates. It's going to give me horizontal. It's going to give me vertical. And then you're going to see people read this and go, well, if his slider's his best pitch, throw it more, throw it more, throw it more. But as you said, throwing it at the right time is more effective than just throwing it more because a number tells you it's your best pitch.
Well, if you think about it, and if your best pitch is your slider, but it's an average major league pitch, it might not be the best pitch to throw to that hitter on a consistent basis, because most breaking balls that end up in the strike zone, well, they're hanging breaking balls. So the guys that have really good late biting breaking balls, they're generally a little bit harder, a little bit later on the break. And those are the guys that can get chase outside the strike zone more than the guy that has to keep throwing it inside the strike zone. If you keep throwing it inside the strike zone, how effective does it really become if that's what you're doing? You're throwing, basically a slower pitch inside the strike zone more often, and you lose that element of surprise. Now, all this obviously is my opinion, but like I said, by all means, if you got a plus pitch, use it at the appropriate time. But if all your pitches aren't plus, having the hitters think about what you're going to throw, I think is important as well.
How about the last 2 days for the Astros? We were just going over this, thought it was really interesting, where you have 2 pitchers, the exact same height. They throw a fastball at the exact same speed. So both Javier and McCullers Jr. 6'1", both average around 94 mile an hour with their fastball, but both utilize their fastball and both have different confidence levels with their fastball. I thought that was fascinating to watch the difference between the two in back-to-back nights. Did you feel the same?
Well, if you looked at Javier, I believe the stat was he used his fastball 72% of the time. And when you have a fastball that you can command, just think of how many quadrants of the plate you can throw it to. You can throw it in, you can throw it out, you can throw it up and in, you can throw it down and away, you can throw it all over the place. When you have a slider and you're, for lack of a better word, abusing that slider, you're either going to throw it at the bottom of the zone, you're going to throw it down and away to your glove side, or down and away below below the zone. So that's basically kind of like 3 areas that you're going to throw your slider. Obviously, you don't want to throw a slider middle, even though they do work once in a while. But like I said, the more you throw sliders and breakers inside the strike zone, I think the more, and that's all you're throwing, then the advantage starts kind of swaying towards the hitter. That's why it's important for me. What I like is to, if you're going to throw a lot of sliders, you still got to mix that fastball in to move them off the plate so you can set it up for down and away. And you got to be able to, it's got to be good enough. Quite frankly, it's got to be good enough to get chase.
One of the big things going on in the playoffs, and it happens every single year, is we start looking about how you pitching coaches and the manager handle the pitching staffs. And, we look at it earlier than we do even during the regular season, where all of a sudden a little bit of trouble happens and everybody's worrying who's warming up, who's not, when we're going to pull the guy. We have no problem pulling guys really early when you hear all the discussion, right? Dusty Baker's taking criticism of this World Series. Rob Thompson now took criticism last night for not getting Nola out early. When you sit back and now you get to be a fan and you get to analyze it because you're not in uniform, you're not a part of the decision-making process, how do you see it when the media and the ex-players start to say, it's too quick, it's too late, and they go about that thought process? How do you view it?
Well, it's a lot tougher when you're sitting in that dugout and you got to make decisions immediately, and you got to make them, thinking about the team first. That's most important. Like some guys will say, well, why did he come out of the game? He only had 69 pitches, 79 pitches, 89 pitches. He could have gone more pitches. Well, when you're in competition, you're playing to win the game. So the pitch count for me never really matters. I think personally, guys can throw 120 pitches. If the game dictates, they can get to 120 pitches. But you also have to understand that we're trying to win the game as a team. I know, years and years ago, everybody was trying to get that starter to get through 5 innings because he qualifies for the win, which is great, which that would be a nice bonus point for us. But at the end of the day, we're all looking for how the team wins the baseball game. And, these managers are under a lot of pressure from, like you said, the media, the fans, the front offices to go out there and make decisions. I'm sure that they're all talking about it in a room. They're all compiling their data. They're all trying to make educated decisions. And at some point in time, sometimes you do have to think about tomorrow. You look at Philadelphia, that was down 5-0. So, they're probably thinking it's the 6th inning. How are we going to get to tomorrow to have our guys fresh and ready to go? Not saying they are punting the game away, but they don't want to come out and use their back end of the bullpen or their what I call end of the game guys in a down game 5-0. So, all these decisions are never easy. You can't please everybody. And that's why the managers get paid the big bucks to go out there and make those decisions. But, every game does count when the game is close. You can't let the game get away. But, you got 2 guys on, you throw one hanging breaking ball, guy hits a 3-run homer. That game is getting away right now. Now, all of a sudden, you got to warm somebody up. Now he might be in the game 3 hitters later. Now it might be 4 or 5-0. And then you're deciding, well, should I use this guy down 5-0? And I had him warming up to be down 3-0. But if I get down 5-0, I'm kind of wasting one of my end of the game guys. So, there's a lot of variables that go into making decisions.
Well, I know on this show, I would be like the manager. Cody would be like the pitching coach. And Cody just bosses me around. Cody tells me what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Inside the dugout, when it comes that time and you and Mark Kotze are talking about it, how do you go about it when you think, well, maybe it is time to change, maybe it's not time to change? What are the discussions like?
Well, you're always trying to think about the process first, and you're going into the game and you're talking about it before you even get on the field. Where are we at? Who are we going to use? A lot of people, why didn't they use this guy? Why didn't they do that guy? Sometimes these guys just aren't available to pitch that night. So, that's my job to walk the line as they're warming up, playing catch each and every day, and go in and tell Kotz, hey, this guy's down today. He doesn't feel good. Or, we have to use common sense. Even though the guy feels pretty good, we might think he's down that day, and I might have to make that decision to Kotz and say, hey, I don't think he should be pitching today. So there's a lot of decisions being made before we even get to the dugout and for the game. My job for me is, to remind the manager, like, hey, earlier we talked about this, if they get off the page or if they want to do something different, and just kind of remind them, hey, I thought we were going to go in this direction. But, the managers do an unbelievable job. Kotz does an unbelievable job of running our bullpen, trying to keep our guys fresh. Look, this is a 162 game major league season plus the playoffs. And sometimes the workload management is tough because you're trying to win each and every night with what you got. So, if I feel like a guy's running out of gas, my cue to Kotz is kind of like, hey, are you thinking? Because, he is the manager of the game. He is the guy that makes the ultimate decisions during the game. But, a lot of times he'll be talking to me and our bench coach and all the other coaches and just kind of compiling some information. What do they think? And he'll ask around. And at the end of the day, he's got to make that big decision. But, if a guy's out of gas and the pitches aren't just working the way they should be, that's when I'll say something like, are you thinking? And, he'll probably come back with, well, what are you thinking? And then I'll tell him, hey, this guy's out of gas. He's starting to elevate balls that he doesn't want to elevate balls, or his breaker's not as sharp as it's been throughout the game. So I think, we always talk about Kotz is big on communication and collaboration. So, you communicate, you collaborate before the game, and you go into that with that game plan. And, there's there's always a plan. Who we got when we're leading, who we got when we're tied, who we got for the big boppers, where do we want to go? We don't just go out there and wing it.
You think you could provide me that list for after the game and the post-game show when all the callers call up and they say, well, why the hell didn't they do this? And I'm like, I don't know. If I had that list, I'd be able to say, well, he wasn't available. See, I would know then.
Well, nobody's obviously the fans are, we got a lot of smart fans, right? So when they start thinking, how come they didn't use AJ Puck on this left-hander? He hadn't he hadn't pitched in the day. Well, maybe something's going on with AJ Puck, or he just needed a day because he's had some times warming up in the bullpen. So generally the fans when they think something's going on, that's all they got to think about is, well, he's probably down, because sure enough, Kotz isn't going to do that.
Well, since you mentioned AJ Puck, when we arrive in Mesa, will AJ Puck be working into a starting role, or will he be still in your bullpen?
Oh man, that's always the great conversation you guys like to get me on, huh? The one thing I will say, I talked about him in the bullpen, but the one thing I will say for AJ had a heck of a year as a reliever. And, I won't say, everything is possible. We'll go into the season and see where we're at.
Well, one thing that's just a reality, and it was Perry Manassian. It was last year, right after the lockout. He's the GM for the Angels, and he was on Sirius XM saying, hey, listen, you're going to need around 13 starting pitchers a year. That's kind of the average everybody's using. So you start to just think about it, because we always used to go, who's our five? Who's our five coming out of spring? You're going to need a lot more than five. That's just a reality in today's game. So when you start to prepare for spring training, and I know you think about this all the time, and you think about the state, you need it's like horses, right? You're North Carolina. You need a stable of horses. You need a stable of potential starters that are at the big league level and guys that are at the AAA level who you can call up. Just off the top of your head and numbers wise, going into next year, what do you think that number is? How many guys do you think you have?
Well, I think, if you look at, our stable per se, obviously we got Cole Irvin, James Caprillion, Blackburn, Koenig, Logue, Aller, Martinez, who am I missing?
Years, Waldachuk.
Years. I mean, we got a nice stable to go out and let the healthy competition in spring training and the body of work that the guys did during the season too. Some people are like, well, he pitched really good in spring training, or he didn't have the greatest year, but he pitched really good in spring training. So you got to kind of always kind of mix and match that. Spring training means something, yes, but the body of work during the season means something as well. And if that guy's body of work during the season wasn't as good as he expected it or we expected it, then he's probably got to pick it up a little bit in spring training to stick out like a sore thumb in a good way. But I really look forward to it because, we gave a lot of guys an opportunity to pitch in the big leagues this year. I think some guys at the end of the season were able to breathe a little bit better and relax. I always say, 50 starts, 55 starts, you kind of start really feeling out who these guys are. I look at Cole Irvin, the guy for me has had 2 really good, solid major league seasons. Paul Blackburn's been around a long time. James Caprillion, put it together them last 5 starts to make everything interesting, right? So now you just you go out, you try to give everybody an opportunity in spring training to pitch, and then that's the tough part. Decisions come, and we want to be able to run out the best 5 guys to start the season and understand that, a lot of other guys, even though they're not on the major league team at the start of the season, they're still a huge important factor in our season.
Yeah, that's something I'm excited about. That's going to give you guys an opportunity to try and win as you're starting pitching, and it's going to be a very good competition, not only in spring training but throughout the year. And when you think about the off season, that's one thing that's great about A's Cast is that A's baseball doesn't go away. It used to be in the past where you'd have the final out and A's baseball wouldn't be back till the first pitch of the season. No, we bridged that gap in the off season. And I think about for you, just tell the fans the off season program for you. How much do you reach out to the players? How much are you checking in on the players to see how they're doing, what they're doing at some point? When are they going to throw? Some guys live in where there's not great weather. Just take us through the off season for you and your guys.
Well, I think, one of the things that really helps out is there's so many baseball indoor facilities nowadays. When I grew up out in Arizona, there wasn't many and it was hot and you went outside, and then you always heard about the guys in the Northeast who haven't been off the mound very much in the off season because of the weather. But now with all these indoor facilities, you got these guys being able to train year round. You got these guys being able to throw year round. So, we're really trying to tailor everybody's throwing program to them, what they like to do. Sometimes, you get a throwing program and guys want to throw more and they're throwing behind your back per se. And that's the one thing you really want to avoid. I'd rather, if the guys want to be throwing now, I'd rather have a program for them and get them on some sort of page with us and talk to them than just kind of go behind your back. So, those conversations are starting. We got a guideline program that we'd like everybody to kind of stay on a little bit, because our throwing program is going to tie in with our strength and conditioning program, which will tie in with our arm care program. So everything kind of ties in with everything. And it's, I got to make some calls. I try to get on, 5 or 6 guys every other day and at least talk to the guys or text with them, every 10 days. And then, starting here next week, middle of next week to the following week is when you really get on the phone and say, all right, it's, after Thanksgiving for sure, it's time to start, playing backyard catch, keeping your intensity low, getting the arm moving. And then, how quick are we going to ramp this guy up to be ready for the season? And, you always like to backtrack from the first game of the season all the way to the beginning of spring training. And then now, with these tailored routines for everybody, you can get in detailed of what they're doing in the middle of December.
Well, I think about how just technology changes so fast. I mean, you get into one thing, next thing you know, there's something new out there. So how important is it for you to make sure that your pitchers have all the latest stuff? I don't even know what all the latest stuff is. And who knows if some people have stuff going that other teams don't know about. But how much do you want to try and keep up with the Joneses technology-wise for your pitchers?
Well, it's always important, but the technology is only as good as, the players can process the information. If you're giving them too much and they're not capable of making Hall of Fame pitches yet, and they're trying to make Hall of Fame pitches, in my opinion, they weed themselves out a little sooner because they're more worried about making unbelievable pitches than probable pitches. So, that's why, I always talk about the ability to command your fastball to all the quadrants of the plate first, and then we can work off of that. So, some guys can't throw that Greg Maddux two-seamer that starts in on the lefty and comes back on the corner. Some guys can't throw the front hip breaking ball to a right-hander right on right inside. Some guys can't throw it back door. But, you always have to try to master first what you're still capable of doing. And I think what happens nowadays are these kids are getting the younger pitcher, the youth pitchers are getting into this technology so soon. And the horse is ahead of the cart now, or the cart is ahead of the horse. So, you got to be able to, still throw quality strikes, throw strikes with your fastball, change speeds, and be able to master what you can do first before you can really start gaining an advantage in doing things that are high class. I like guys to take one step at a time still.
Well, it always comes down to one thing, and you tell us, and before we let you go, teach us all again, what's the number one thing about pitching?
Well, if hitting's timing, pitching is disruption of timing.
You got any questions? Do you have any questions?
No. It's good to see you, Emo. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
How's the golf game?
Hey, I shot 88 the other day at Todd Hill Farms here in Asheboro, North Carolina. And Golf Digest at one time had it as the one of the top 5 hardest golf courses in the United States.
Then that's legit.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those courses. If you're pin high and the ball might roll back 50 yards, so you got to kind of play a little target golf. But I played 3 times since I've been back. I was fortunate enough to play in the Ronald McDonald House tournament in Greensboro. That was great, and what the people of Ronald McDonald's do for children is unbelievable.
Well, you live in one of the most beautiful parts of the country. All right, after this 7th game of the World Series, the calendar is clear.
Hey, I'm here.
How's January, February before spring training?
Well, February starts to get real cold in North Carolina. January, you're going to be in the high 30s, low 40s. Maybe some snow.
How about before Thanksgiving?
Good time.
All right. Keep your phone on.
Thanks,
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
That's the great Scott Emerson, the pitching coach of your Oakland Athletics. God, is he good. If hitting is timing, pitching is disruption of timing.
Correct. Emo just told you that.
Jesus, how many times do we have to talk about that?
I know.
Coming up next, the greatness of Dave Dombrowski. He deserves all the praise that he's getting. We'll have it for you next. We're talking World Series right here on A's Cast Live.
Oakland Athletics spring training is right around the corner, and you can be part of the excitement. Get your tickets now and plan ahead for a fun-filled trip to Mesa, Arizona this spring. Pack the sunscreen, bring your friends, pick up some ballpark classics, and watch your green and gold get ready for the regular season. Get your tickets today to see the Athletics take on the Giants, Padres, Cubs, Dodgers, and more. Tickets are on sale now at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Senior writer for MLB Pipeline Jim Callis was on A's Cast Live and discussed which A's prospect impressed him at the Arizona Fall League.
Zach Geloff kind of stood out to me the most. I'll tell you what surprised me the most about him. He looked pretty good at second base. I think of him as more of a third baseman. I know they play him a lot at second. He looked pretty good at second base when I saw him. I was there for a week. I'll go back to the final week too. But he was pretty impressive. I mean, I know he can hit. He's moved real quick in the minors. I remember I actually saw him for the first time in Arizona. We broadcast the MLB4 tournament This would have been 2019. It was his first game he played in college. I remember watching him in BP thinking, I'd never heard of him. The way we split the draft in MLB, I have half the country, but I didn't have Zach Geloff, who's from New Jersey. So I didn't really know much about him. I'm like, man, this guy looks really good in BP. And then he hit 3 doubles in the game. But no, I think Zach Geloff, I think, the question is he a guy who's a solid player versus a guy who's like a cornerstone you build a team around? He might be more of that solid regular than a, true star you build around. But he looked really good in Arizona.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Hey, A's fans, you know that running your own business is a slugfest every day. That's why businesses have been counting on Mechanics Bank since 1905. From operating lines of credit to equipment and real estate loans, they can help build your lineup to meet today's challenges and prepare for tomorrow's opportunities. Stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com today. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. All loans subject to program eligibility and credit approval.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine with your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Crizer Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Crizer Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Crizer Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Crizer Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrie locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Well, we've been talking about the article, and it's absolutely fantastic. And Zach is with us now as we're talking about Dave Dombrowski, and, you know, truly one of the great executives in the history of professional sports, let alone Major League Baseball. How are you today?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing well, and you know, we come from a world that is Moneyball, and everybody always talks Moneyball, whether it's the book, it's the movie. Obviously, Billy Bean's a good friend, and Dave Dombrowski, who's been doing this a long time. You can go back to the 70s when he first got into baseball. He's never been the celebrity GM, the celebrity baseball president of baseball operations, but all he has ever done is established one of the great reputations in the history of the game, and he's won.
He has. Yeah. I mean, you look back, he was doing this. He built the 1997 Marlins that were a big surprise and won the World Series. And that was obviously before Moneyball was even a book. He left for the Tigers that same year in 2002, and the 2003 Marlins ended up winning the World Series with a lot of the pieces he acquired. But I think, he's evolved with the game. There have been a ton of changes, and he has not necessarily been as you said, he hasn't been the icon people hold up as the avatar of those changes. But through it all, he's stayed current, and he's had a plan. And obviously he's worked for some organizations willing to spend money, and he's been a very good shepherd of that money.
I always talk about it. He's the first GM I ever interviewed in my career. And he is like the last guy that still travels with the team. So I've done a lot of interviews with him over the years. He's the nicest guy in the world. Everybody loves him. And so you root for guys like this. And I just still think of his departure in Boston. It's still something that doesn't sit right, obviously, with him. It's one of the reasons why he didn't want to get back into this gig with Philly right away. But really, with a lot of people in baseball, it's like the Red Sox did him wrong, and no one has forgotten it.
Yeah, it was an odd situation all the way around. Less than a year after assembling a 108 win team, you get fired. It's not, you almost thought like something else must be up, but I don't think anything was. It was just he and John Henry, the Red Sox team owners, seemed to disagree on the way that they wanted to go from there. That Red Sox team, the 2019 team, ended up being an 84-win team, which was a disappointment coming off 108 wins, but it's actually better than they've been in 2 of the 3 seasons since they fired him. And obviously, a huge reason for that is that they decided to trade Mookie Betts mostly for salary relief, which is, you're going to be worse if you do that. And based on Dave Dombrowski's entire pattern of operation, I have to imagine that was not what he was planning to do.
Yeah, it's just not right. But, here he is. He goes to Nashville, and obviously our own Dave Stewart is going to be a part of that ownership group. And we've learned a lot about the Nashville Stars, and he's a consultant there and, with plans hopefully to run the baseball team. And then here comes his buddy Andy McPhail going, no, we want you in Philly. It sounds like he turned down Philly so many different times that finally it's like it just had to happen because they wanted him so bad.
Right. I think the story we've heard, that I've seen reported is kind of he wanted to hold out for the Nashville team. He wanted to help start this expansion franchise, and maybe he thought it was coming a little sooner than it actually is. There's always been speculation about when baseball is going to expand, when they're going to add 2 more teams, when they might do new divisions. And I think I've heard reported at some point, John Middleton, the Phillies owner, convinced Dave Dombrowski to call Rob Manfred to ask him about the timeline for Nashville. And whatever Manfred told him, Dombrowski said, okay, maybe I have time to go run the Phillies for a while. So, obviously there's no expansion coming, in the next couple of years. So clearly Dombrowski had at least enough of a window to, take this team to the World Series and see them through a little bit longer if he wants.
Reading your piece in Yahoo Sports, I got thinking about how everybody likes to use Moneyball. And I think about if I'm Billy Beane, what bothers me is a lot of people talk about Moneyball, and a lot of these teams have money. Moneyball was established in Oakland because Billy Beane had no money, right? He just had to borrow, scrape, do whatever he could to try and field a competitive team. And it's funny how you'll hear other teams talk about Moneyball, and it's like, wait a minute. Billy Beane it wasn't like Billy Beane had a bunch of money he just didn't want to spend. Like Billy would have loved the problems of the Red Sox or all these other teams. So it's so funny when people like in our sport bring up Moneyball and you're like, nah, that's not quite apples to what Billy had.
Right. I think, and I go into this a little bit in the piece, it's
a good piece, by the way. It was fantastic.
Thank you. It's difficult to separate what Moneyball is and what it was because of how it has been co-opted both by every baseball team, by the literal finance industry. It has taken on a greater definition as a stand-in for, just the practice of looking for competitive disadvantages or market inefficiencies, which is what Billy Beane was doing, except he was doing it out of necessity, as you mentioned. He was doing it because he couldn't spend the same way as other baseball teams, so he needed to find a different way to look at players so that the A's could gain an advantage. I think now what you have is, every team in Major League Baseball is operating with some shared understandings that only came about because of Moneyball, but using those is no longer Moneyball. That's just common sense, using data in addition to scouting. All of that stuff, those are effects of what Billy Beane did in Moneyball, but they are no longer Moneyball in and of themselves. So what you have are just, when you look at a team doing something differently, which I think teams that hire Dave Dombrowski now are actually doing something different in that they're sort of pledging to run their team in a way that is built to create that critical win now mass in a way that a lot of GMs don't tend to do. It's kind of come full circle in that the Moneyball in baseball right now, that market inefficiency, that doing something different, is just almost not related to what Billy Beane was doing back in 2002.
When you write a piece like this, and obviously you're looking into front offices, do you ever sit back and go, wow, I'm talking about a guy who's basically saying, I want to win?
Right, and he's saying it with
then what is it for everybody else? Like,
right, I think it's
to win. He wants, the object of the game is to win. The object is to win the World Series. And I think we all kind of know there's front offices where I don't know if that's their number one goal.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ownership groups, especially, that seem less than gung-ho about putting all their eggs in any one basket for a season. And Dave Dombrowski puts all his eggs out there. He goes and gets the best players to try to win every season. Now, I think there's something to be said about, we've seen the randomness of the playoffs this year. We've seen that the Dodgers almost certainly had the best baseball team this year, but they went out early in October. That sort of thing can't happen. And so there's something to be said for an intentional strategy of, if you want to win the World Series, maybe your best shot is to build an organization that's going to get to October the most frequently. That's fine. But I think there is, understandably, fans want to see the effort. They want to understand why you're doing the things you're doing. They want to see star players who stick around, who are pursued and aren't let go simply because of the dollar figure, when I think all of the owners of Major League Baseball teams are billionaires. They want to see that commitment. And Dave Dombrowski, he does, I think he gets a little bit of a outdated rap for not being as into the analytics as everyone else, which, he beefed up the Boston sabermetric operations, but he does the things that, you look at and say, he's definitely going for it right now.
Are you still based in New York?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be making the trip to Vegas soon, and I'm going to take all of my kids' college money. I'm going to go up to the sports book, and I've got to bet Aaron Judge Yankee, Aaron Judge not a Yankee, and this is going to decide whether my kids go to a four-year school or a junior college. Where do you want to bet my kids' college money?
Well, if you're saying you're going to do that, and I can't talk you out of that, then
my kids' college fund is on you right now.
I would go with staying with the Yankees. I think it's probably 60-40 is where I'd put it. But I think especially after the historic season he had, they're going to look at that as a legacy moment. They're going to look at that as, this guy is going to be in their Monument Park someday. They can't really look at it and say, the extra $20 million, we can't do it. I think that's a moment where even under the, more restrained Steinbrenner progeny, I think they're going to look at that and say they have to pony up and make sure he stays a Yankee. I think it's going to be a fascinating free agency. I think there are a couple teams who are really in a good position to go make a run if they want to. I look at the San Francisco Giants, not just because Judge is from out there, but they are a team that has no significant financial contributions beyond 2023. And if you're going to be creative and figure out what the deal is that works for a player like Aaron Judge, that's a pretty good situation to start from.
I mean, we're in the Bay Area. We love living here. We get how great it is. We know where he grew up. We know the whole thing. But I keep sitting here going, wait a minute. You're in New York. You're on Broadway. You're where the stars are. And you're telling me that you don't want to have for the rest of your life and then your children's children and then your grandchildren's children for them to be able to go to Yankee Stadium where you've got a monument next to Ruth, Gehrig, Mantle, Jeter, DiMaggio, Mattingly, on and on and on. You're going to give that up to come to San Francisco to someday be on the Wall of Fame next to Joe Panic and Hunter Pence?
Right. And I think are
you serious? I would really sit down there and Judge and go, hey, buddy, I get where you're going. Like, no amount of money could change what I would want for my legacy after I'm gone. That's what the Yankees give you.
They certainly do, but it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, the very public way that they came out with the extension offer they gave him prior to the season in the spring, Brian Cashman came out and told reporters exactly how much they offered him, why they thought it was a good deal, which is just very strange. You don't really see that. You don't see GMs talking about the offer. And the implication of that was, hey, we think we made him a really good offer, and it's kind of his fault that he didn't take it, which I kind of agree that it was a fair offer. I wouldn't say it was one that Judge should have rushed out to sign, but I think it was a very fair offer based on his career to that point. It's almost just terrible luck for the Yankees that he came out and had the best season we've seen since Barry Bonds. I mean, they couldn't have really foreseen that particular outcome, but I do wonder what Judge thinks of that move to come out and publicly say, hey, we made an offer and he didn't take it. It felt like the sort of thing where they maybe were trying to push the fans against him a little bit and pressure him. And that, I'm sure that if things work out, he will happily remain a Yankee, but I am wondering about how that dynamic plays in his head.
Well, I know everybody's talking about the Giants and, his wife is from Linden out here too in the Central Valley, and her mom is a part of the Linden School District and all that kind of stuff. And then it's the Dodgers, whatever. If I was worth $16 billion and I own the Mets and I want to be a troll and money doesn't matter to me and I'm fighting for publicity with the Yankees, I'm telling you right now, if I'm Steve Cohen, nobody's outbidding me for him.
And I think that may be the case. I don't know if it'll work, but I think Steve Cohen will be thinking something along those lines. We've seen his approach to off seasons. When Max Scherzer is out there, he went and got Max Scherzer. There's obviously a lot going on with the Mets in free agency. They have Jacob deGrom. They probably want to bring back. They have Brandon Nimmo in the free agent market. Chris Bassett's a free agent. So Edwin Diaz, there's just a lot of key pieces of that Mets team who are up in the air. And it'll be fascinating to see how Cohen and GM Billy Epler decide to prioritize their runs at people. It was a different front office, but we've seen the Mets kind of, for lack of a better term, screw up the timing before, where they kind of focused on other things and let JT Realmuto get away, didn't go back to him as soon as they should have. So it'll be an interesting dynamic. I certainly think Steve Cohen's going to make a call and see how much money he could offer to convince Aaron Judge to switch Burrows. But there's a lot going on with the Mets that I do wonder if that's going to be the top priority.
Yeah, they call him Uncle Steve, right? Isn't that what they call him?
They do, with his Twitter presence and everything. He's just like a fan. Just, he has several $1 billion.
What would it be like? You're there. What would it be like if the Mets sign Aaron Judge from the moment they sign him all the way up to opening day and he's announced as a Met at Citi Field?
Yeah, I mean, it would stoke some city divisions. I would say that, you know, the same fans who, you know, this is just the nature of being a fan. When your team goes out and spends a load of money to bring in a star like Garrett Cole for the Yankees, you know, he's a true Yankee. He came there because he loves New York and loves the tradition. But as soon as you get, you know, Aaron Judge jumping to a different team for money, it would be, you know, he couldn't handle being a Yankee, or he's a traitor, or whatever the dynamic would be. It would probably be a little ugly, but very interesting from a drama perspective. And it would, you know, amp up the Subway Series a lot too, which, you know, doesn't need a lot more juice.
Great stuff. Hey, so we can find you Baseball Prospectus, Yahoo. Where else can we find you?
All my writings at Yahoo Sports these days on the internet.
Okay.
You can find me on Twitter at @ZCrizer, and I do write for the Baseball Prospectus Annual, the print book. I think I'm writing about the Arizona Diamondbacks this year, so you can go catch that in February. But yeah, everything else is at Yahoo Sports.
We can tell you Torey Lovello is a great guy. Former A, great guy. D-backs, 500, anything?
They got some nice pieces with Carroll and coming up through their system. They played this year. They were pretty good. They were okay this year.
They played better in the second half.
They might push 500.
Will they make a run at the Padres or the Dodgers?
Not at the Padres or the Dodgers, but I think they've got a decent shot at progressing toward a wild card next year. They really do have some nice position player talent. I'll be interested to see how much they load up to complement that, or if they wait another year.
Hey, great stuff. We appreciate the time. Let's do this again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Yeah, it's a really good article, Yahoo Sports. And yeah, Dave Dombrowski, a terrific article in Sports Weekly, USA Today about Dave. I've highlighted it for you. You want me to go over some of it for you since we're talking about my friend Dave Dombrowski?
I mean, the article's the article on Yahoo was good. So yeah, let's go on with it until CJ joins us in about 9 minutes.
Andy MacPhail and Dave became friends in the 70s. MacPhail was with the Cubs, and Dave Dombrowski got his start with the White Sox. And when you just look at their relationship and what they tried to do in Philly to get Dave to come back, because Dave obviously felt hurt after, and I don't blame him. I mean, you talk about one of the great executives of all time, and the way he was done by the Red Sox, it just seemed really dirty. So for him to get back, and he, like we said, he was with Dave Stewart. He moved to Nashville. He's a part of the Nashville Stars. Dave got him to go there. He's going to be a part of them growing into the next expansion team. They will get the expansion team. Luckily, we'll have Dave Stewart doing TV with us on NBC Sports California. But Dave's going to be the face of that, Dave Stewart, and he wanted Dave Dombrowski to be a big part of it. So the Stars had to say, yeah, hey, you can go there, but it's in Dombrowski's deal that if something happened with an Oakland ballpark, if something happened in Tampa, and now all of a sudden the Stars are ready to go, he could walk out of that contract with Philly at any point because he still feels the loyalty to the Stars because that was the original job. But the story in the USA Today, it's fantastic. And Dave is truly one of the greats of our time. You think about all these different organizations constantly winning. It's what it's all about. And where a lot of front offices, are they about winning the World Series? Are they about doing it every year or every so many years? You can really question that. You can question whether teams go for it. Dave Dombrowski is about winning, and he's about winning the World Series. And it's what makes him special. And I think definitely after this run, no question, when we have started to put executives into the Baseball Hall of Fame, Dave Dombrowski will be there. Do we got CJ on right now?
Yeah, he's in the show.
We haven't talked to him a while. CJ, how are you? He can't hear. CJ, can you hear us?
No, he can't hear us. Let me see. He sent me a message.
Why don't we break? We'll get CJ on next. from the Texas Rangers and also from SiriusXM right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Oakland Athletics spring training is right around the corner, and you can be part of the excitement. Get your tickets now and plan ahead for a fun-filled trip to Mesa, Arizona this spring. Pack the sunscreen, bring your friends, pick up some ballpark classics, and watch your green and gold get ready for the regular season. Get your tickets today to see the Athletics take on the Giants, Padres, Cubs, Dodgers, and more. Tickets are on sale now at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Hitting the road with the family. On your way to nonstop adventures. No worries ahead. Because you know you can stop at a Chevron station along the way. Get fuel for your car, fuel for your crew. That's Chevron with Techron for unbeatable mileage and snacks for all. Coffee for mom, chips for the kids, cold drinks for dad. You know, for the road ahead. Toss in some laughs, out-of-tune singing, and a zillion "Are we there yet?" And you just made lifelong family memories. Chevron, together ahead.
The skipper, Mark Kotze, was on A's Cast Live and discussed his message to the club heading into the offseason.
I was loud and clear yesterday. We had a discussion about obviously what we've done this year, how we've grown, and the expectation level for next year in terms of the preparation, right? And it was built off yesterday's or the night before's game in terms of, you know, just the transitional from the guys that are on the roster that won't be here, the guys in the room that should be here, and the guys in the room that, you know, need to continue this culture. And that's that grit, right? We talk about this long-term perseverance, you know, this commitment to a goal, right? And it starts now, and it starts in their training for this offseason. So like you said, no guaranteed contracts, 33 rookies, 64 players, I think, or more.
64.
You know, and just the focus has to be, we're going to come out next year, we're going to continue to incrementally get better, but with the expectation to win.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
When Northern California businesses need some pop in their lineup, they call the bank rooted in the East Bay. Mechanics Bank. Since 1905, Mechanics Bank has been helping Bay Area and Northern California businesses find success and perform at the top of their game. See how they can make a difference in your business today. Call or stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All righty, CJ, can you hear us now?
I sure can. What's going on?
Man, it's been a while. How are you?
I'm doing well, enjoying the offseason, enjoying the postseason, and yeah, life is good. No complaints.
You know, I feel like I still talk to you all the time because I listen to you. I love the full-time gig on SiriusXM on Loudouts. You guys do a great job. And I just think for you, it's so perfect because I remember when we were on the field one time, you said to us, the one thing is, we get so wrapped up into our own teams and we know our team so well. You do such a good job of knowing the entire league. It allows you to have that voice that's just beyond the Texas Rangers.
Well, it's kind of you to say. I work with great people, so that certainly helps a lot, and it does keep me fresh. And I think I probably mentioned at the time the other part of doing the radio gig with Sirius XM is it does help me keep up with the rest of the league, and then I can kind of bring that into the broadcast, right? So that the two kind of work hand in hand. You get to talk to a lot of people during the year, and then you're going to see that person sooner or later, especially now with the new schedule and the fact that you play every single team. I mean, I can't wait to see how this thing plays out, but I love the idea of where we're headed with the new schedule. And so it is really helpful for me to be able to do radio all year round, be able to talk about all of the teams, and the convenience of it is amazing. I mean, where we are with technology these days, and the idea that I can be at home in my office and talking baseball year round on Sirius XM is a really nice convenience.
Well, plus you played for a lot of teams. I was listening to you one day when you're talking about playing in New York, and you're like, well, I grew up in New York and I played in New York, and some guys are a little soft, CJ. It's the bottom line.
Well, I will say this. I think sometimes it's also overblown.
Yeah.
I was at both places briefly. I also, pitched my college baseball in Queens at St. John's, so pretty much in the shadows of old Shea Stadium. And I didn't do particularly well when I was with the Yankees. It had nothing to do with the fact that it was in New York. I just wasn't executing, and I struggled a little bit. And I think we have a tendency to default to that sometimes. I think about a guy, a former Ranger and now former Yankee, and Joey Gallo, and some of the struggles that he had, or at least the real frustrations that he had. Not so much with the fans. I think we all get that. But it's a very competitive media market. And so there's always a story somewhere that someone is looking for, and they'll push a little bit hard. If you remember, not with him in his first year, that first offseason last year, there was an article about how he puts his pants on, and it just kind of seemed to really bother him. And it was kind of a silly article and didn't make a lot of sense, but there's always somebody looking kind of for an edge or to push a little bit, and that can really get to you. But I think guys should know better than to pick up the newspaper when you're playing in a pretty intense market, really any market for that matter, and not let that stuff get to you. It's always nice when somebody says something nice about you, but you got to understand in a market like that, average is never going to be good enough. Below average, you're going to get hammered, and you're probably better off just ignoring it.
Obviously, we all know the Astros real well, and the Phillies are just on this unbelievable run. They've got that it factor. Whatever that it factor is, they've got it. Have you seen the World Series so far?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, the fact that the Phillies have made this thing interesting, it's kind of surprising, though, to be honest with you, that here they are tied 2-2, and they have not gotten good pitching performances from Aaron Nola or Zach Wheeler yet.
Yeah.
I mean, that seemed like that was their best chance, that Nola and Wheeler were going to deliver, and that would keep them in games, and that would give them a chance to be in this series. But here they are tied 2-2, so now we're basically looking at a best of three, and they have not performed well. Now, Ranger Suarez was amazing. But we know it's about the Astros pitching, right? How deep they run, the fact that they wouldn't even throw Justin Verlander yesterday. We'll see him tonight because they can go to Christian Javier. And all he did was give you 6 no-hit innings. And the guy probably hasn't gotten the recognition that he deserves. He gets it on the national stage now here in the postseason. And that combined no-hitter that the Astros put together, like you said, we know this team really well because of how often we see them in the American League West. They're really good. I mean, they run unbelievably deep on the pitching side. I don't know if you got a chance to see Hunter Brown or not. He made his debut against the Rangers. He's a guy that can slide right into that rotation next year if Justin Verlander ends up somewhere else, and they're probably not going to miss a beat. I mean, it's so ridiculous how deep they are in pitching right now in Houston. All guys that are under control, unfortunately for both of us, that we're going to have to see quite a bit over the next few years. But it's been a better series than expected, quite honestly. I thought that the Houston Astros were in a position where they could have absolutely steamrolled the Phillies, and they haven't done it. And they haven't laid down, and obviously they're dealing with some momentum in their favor. Tonight's a pretty big one that the Philadelphia Phillies are going to have to come out and figure out a way to get this one tonight.
Yeah, we've been talking about earlier today. Javier's making $729,000, and you're like, oh my! I mean, they carpet bombed Latin America with not a ton of money, and they just gave here's $100,000 here, $70,000. Just took some chances, and some of these guys have just come up smelling like roses, and they're going to be set for years. And I've talked about the Phillies to where having some fun with it. They kind of remind me like back in the day when we were all playing and you got on this summer league team. It was like you got on this team with all these guys that really good high school players, but you maybe not the best fit at start, but you came together, start drinking beers after games, and next thing you know, you just start steamrolling people. You get this great confidence. That's what the Phillies have been like for me. And knowing that they've hit the same 6 guys in the lineup every game for all the postseason games, and it's just all come together. They may not be the perfect puzzle. All the pieces may not fit, but man, there's something special about them.
I would agree, and they figured it out late. All right, they are a top 5 payroll team. I think a lot of people forget that because they did underperform in the regular season. I mean, there's no two ways about it. When you have a top 5 team, you're thinking you have a legitimate chance to win the division. You're certainly expecting to have at least 90 wins under your belt. Instead, they end up being that final wild card team, right? Think about the rule changes this year and how that has affected the Phillies. If we're under the old system, they're not even in the postseason. If there's no DH in the National League, Bryce Harper's out for a decent amount of time, and they're probably also not in the postseason. But the rule changes and what we saw and them being the 6th seed now and kind of sneaking in just goes to show you it's just a matter of getting in and how your team is built. But going back to your point, they did seem like a team that obviously came together very slow start. They had to change their manager, Joe Girardi out, Rob Thompson in. He's done an excellent job. They've come to play for him with consistency. He doesn't say a lot. Didn't get excited about the fact that they got no hit yesterday. A loss is a loss, and they strap it back on today, and they get back after it. So they do have this kind of blue-collar feel to them. You know, even Bryce Harper, the way that he carries himself, who he is now compared to maybe who he was when we first got to the big leagues, there was a lot of criticism. Young guy, cocky, maybe a little bit arrogant, and I thought some of the criticism was probably a little bit overblown. But he really does set the tone for this team. And then you bring in kind of the other blue collar guys. They're very rich blue collar guys, but they are kind of blue collar guys when you think about Nick Castellanos and thinking about Kyle Schwarber and they're very quiet too, right? Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, top of the rotation, just kind of go about their business. They don't get too worked up about much of anything. I got a chance to actually play with Wheeler at the very end of my career when he was on his way up and I was on my way out, and he hasn't changed at all. That's going all the way back to 2012. So a decade ago, a guy with a 9-figure contract who's still a guy's guy and just takes it as it comes.
That was pretty funny. They're the richest blue-collar guys. The Verlander thing, 0-6, 6.07 ERA, 8 career World Series starts. We were talking about that. I'm like, you know, the past, I mean, I'm not going to talk what he did in 2010. He's a completely different man. His life is different. His body is different. He's 39. Talking about the past, I mean, you can look at now. I mean, just the numbers now of how good his breaking balls, mainly slider, then curveball, how so nasty during the year, haven't been as nasty in the postseason. The numbers show that. Have you seen a difference?
Yeah, I mean, it's late in the year. I think for him, like he was good in the beginning of that last World Series start, and then they started getting to him, and they probably left him in the game too long. You really shouldn't allow a starter. It's kind of hard to believe that we've seen now 4 starters give up at least 5 runs in games in the World Series. We haven't seen that in 20 years. Last time that happened was 2002. And so the fact that, and it's not just the Dusty Baker and the Astros, obviously a couple of times for the Philadelphia Phillies as well. So that was a little bit surprising, and not picking up on the fact that maybe it was time to get him out of there. I know he's your ace. We know he's going to win the Cy Young Award, but obviously maybe a little bit of fatigue setting in. And as you mentioned, the breaking ball is not quite as good as they had been. The fastball is still playing really well. That is something he has always done, especially at the top of the zone. He knows how to get weak contact. He knows where to go and how to execute a game plan. He just couldn't quite get deep enough into that game, but it felt like he was headed toward that first World Series win when they spotted him, that 5-0 lead, a game that they ultimately lost 6-5 with the Phillies winning it in extra innings. I mean, that game was pretty shocking, quite honestly, to see from Justin Verlander. But a couple of bad ones that he's had, they find a way to stay in these games and at least have a chance to still win them. There's probably something to it in the way that he's thinking about it and wanting to get that first one. As good as he has been throughout his career, as good as he has been throughout the postseason. I mean, if you look at his career numbers in the postseason, they're really good. It's just the World Series. So that hangs over you a little bit. Remember, David Price for the longest time really struggled in the postseason. And once they won it all in 2018, he won a couple of World Series starts. He brought it up. He's like, you guys can't say that about me anymore. So he obviously was thinking about it. And even though we look at Justin Verlander as a guy that's pretty solid mentally and obviously a great pitcher over his career, it's probably in the back of his mind, or maybe even the front of his mind, quite honestly, a little bit about how he has performed in the World Series. He gets another shot tonight.
Now, I don't know what the reaction, let's get to the Texas Rangers. I don't know what the reaction in Arlington, Dallas about Bruce Bochy. I can tell you the reaction out here in Northern California. Giants fans were just like, what? Wait, Bochy really still wants to manage, and he's going to be the manager of the Texas Rangers? There was absolute shock here in Northern California. What was the reaction to Texas, in Texas, about Bruce Bochy being the new manager of the Rangers?
Well, I will tell you this. As soon as they let Chris Woodward go, Tony Beasley slid in as the interim. There was immediate speculation about Bruce Bochy, the relationship between him and Chris Young. Chris Young had pitched for him in San Diego, and so we knew that that probably could be out there. It was a matter of whether or not Bruce Bochy actually wanted to manage. Of course, he was still helping out with the Giants, but he was home in Nashville, and I'm sure you've seen some of the quotes in the interviews, and he's been pretty consistent. He said once he had a conversation with Chris Young, once he realized where this organization was going and talking to ownership and Ray Davis and realizing that there was going to be resources and they were going to be making a pretty hard push to put together a competitive roster, it made all the sense in the world. He did miss it. And it's not surprising that he missed it. It's not surprising that there's that competitiveness and that fire still in Bruce Bochy. I can tell you that people are really, really excited in Arlington right now. This was a guy that obviously has had a ton of success over his 25 years managing the 3 World Series that he had, that he won with the San Francisco Giants, the one that he appeared in with the San Diego Padres. And this is the first time, I couldn't believe when I saw this, this is the first time the Rangers have hired a manager with experience since they hired Buck Showalter back in 2003. So it's been 20 years. And every other manager they've had since then, and Chris Woodward, Ron Washington, who was great, Jeff Bannister, it was all their first time ever managing in the big leagues. And so we go back to experience. Again, with the roster, they poured a ton of money into it last year. They still have a lot of room, payroll, to do that again. The anticipation is that it'll be at least 2 and maybe 3 starting pitchers that they try to add and a couple of other smaller pieces. And they expect to be right in this thing really quickly. You don't bring Bruce Bochy in on a 3-year deal and bringing him out of retirement if you don't think you can contend right away.
Yeah, there's no question. Your guy's going to love him. He's good people, and he's fun to be around on a daily basis. And when we think about the turnaround, because obviously the Astros aren't going anywhere, Seattle's not going anywhere. They're now going to be a player. A's, we're not. We'll see how long it's going to take. Where do the Texas Rangers go this offseason? How do they get better after the big investment in Marcus and in Seager?
Yeah, and I would say the Angels too, right? We know Shohei Ohtani is back, and we hear that they're not going to trade him, and obviously they have some great players on that roster. So who knows? They could be a team that could be a problem as well for everybody else in the American League West. But a lot of good things happen offensively, as you mentioned. Seager and Simeon up the middle. First year they got to get to know each other a little bit. All those little intricacies that happen in the middle infield. We did get a look at Josh Young toward the end of the season, top prospect to play third base for the Rangers. They have guys established like Adolis Garcia in right field. Nathaniel Lowe had a huge year. They did lose Mitch Garver for half the season. That was a problem. That was a big bat that they ended up missing. Jonah Heim did a nice job for Murray sliding in, but he played more probably than anybody anticipated. He was great defensively. It looked like he got a little tired toward the end. And a lot of good things happen in the bullpen. Now they have to figure out who they're going to bring back. Matt Moore was excellent for the Rangers. They'd love to have him back. They'd love to have Martin Perez back as well. He had a career year. And so they are, it feels like, just a couple of pitchers away, quite honestly, and perhaps maybe they can even figure out a way to add one other complimentary bat, whether it's a left fielder or a DH or someone to share some time, or if they don't decide that Josh Young is ready to be their third baseman. We don't know quite yet. There were some good things there. There was also a lot of swing and miss and not a lot of walks. So they're close. They're really close, but the pitching is really important. John Gray did a nice job when he was out there and healthy, but they have to get deeper in that rotation and create a little competition for all those young pitchers. There's a lot of good ones. Glenn Otto, Kamara Rocker, Jack Leiter in the system. Dane Dunning's done a nice job as well. And so they want to create a little bit more competition for those guys where they're fighting for 1, maybe 2 spots max in the rotation. And that would be only because they went out and signed some other guys.
Now, if I was to call into Loudouts and I said, I want the expert opinion on Shohei Ohtani, because I know the millions that they bring in because of him. International money coming in, sponsorships from Japan. So if I'm to put him out there on the block, I'm just not losing this talent. And no matter what talent I'm getting back, I'm now losing millions upon millions of dollars that I'm getting in advertising money, merchandise. I mean, there's so many things that go around him. How do you replace that? Like how do, as a business, if you're the Angels, I mean, I'm not really expecting you to have the answer, but if you're going to trade this guy, this is more than just a baseball decision.
It is, and it makes it more difficult, especially now there's only 1 year control left, right? That's the other part of this. Yeah, you have them locked up. They took care of that arbitration situation very early. We've never really seen that before, right? To get that $30 million deal done. We've also never seen a player like Shohei Ohtani. And whether or not they can get him signed long-term, we will see. If you kind of get that sense that he wants to go somewhere else, then you probably have to make the move. What also complicates things is that they're in the middle of trying to sell the team. And he's a huge asset financially. He is a true revenue generator. There are very few players like him that bring in that kind of money just from one player. I probably no other players, quite honestly, that do it to the level that he does. So that really complicates things. I thought they should have traded him last trade deadline. That means any team that was acquiring him would have had him for 2 postseason runs. His value probably would never have been higher. They had no interest. Artie Moreno just was not going to do it. Directed baseball operations people not to trade him. And so while his value is still high, it's just extremely complicated for what you would get in return, what you think you should get in return for what you're giving up, and how do you calculate the other money that's coming in. And if you're trading for a bunch of young players, that money's out the door. I've heard somewhere around, say, call it $20 or $25 million that he is bringing in extra a year. That 25 is gone. There is nobody that you're trading for that's going to help you make up for that. And if anything, you're going to tick off your fans a little bit because he's gone. And so then you're going to see a deficit from that standpoint as well. So I don't know how they could possibly pull it off. Which team would go all the way in and give up the kind of talent that would be required to get Shohei Ohtani? It just doesn't seem like it's going to be able to happen. I'll be shocked. And they're not going to give him away. It doesn't make any sense. If you ride it out and he goes to free agency, so be it. You still at least have another year of all that revenue coming in.
All right, let's end on this. I love the bit that you guys do on Loud Outs where the producer gives you a topic. And then no matter how you feel, you have to argue one side, right? I was listening to the one where you guys were talking about Ohtani or Judge as the MVP, and Spielborgs does not want to give it to Judge, but he had to argue for Judge. I don't know how we do it. I want to steal that bit from you guys, by the way, because I think it's great because it makes you have to defend something that maybe you don't believe in. I like it.
Yeah, it's almost like not that I went to law school, but a good law school kind of exercise where you have to figure out how do you defend a murderer, essentially, right? Now, in this case, we're just talking baseball. We don't have to worry about anybody being guilty and doing something terrible, but how do you argue something that you don't necessarily believe in? You got to be extra careful as a married guy, because if you're really, really good at that, your wife might get a little suspicious. Like, wow, you're very good at lying and kind of making a case for something that you don't believe in.
You're really dirty, aren't you?
Yeah, there's a downside to that. So you do have to be careful with it. But it is fun. It is a good one. The idea of, obviously, that's a topic that'll come up here. And once that's announced, and I think we're all pretty sure that we're going to see Aaron Judge win that thing. But it's so interesting, right? Because that conversation just in general, it's how much do you put emphasis on the actual V, the valuable part. I feel like that's just kind of what they named the award because it sounded like the right thing. It sounds a little bit better. Of course, then there will be certain writers and voters that'll look at the actual value of what he brings to a team. But then if you sit there and go down that path, I mean, how could you not argue in the case of Jose Ramirez? I mean, the value that he brought to the Guardians this year, how he elevated the rest of that roster, how they almost found themselves in the American League Championship Series because of him. So much talk about the way that he plays the game and carries the team, and everybody else just kind of falling in line. And, you can go a lot of different ways. But I still think Shohei probably should be the guy based on what he did this year. And luckily, they do vote at the end of the regular season because we saw Judge really struggle in the postseason. He was pitched really, really well by the teams that he faced. Both the Astros and the Guardians pitched him extremely well, and you got to tip your cap a little bit. But he struggled, and I think if the voting happened after the postseason, Shohei Ohtani might have won it.
Well, we love listening to you on Sirius XM. We always appreciate you come on the program, especially when you guys are out in Oakland. We get to have you on the field. Hope all is well for you, and let's talk soon.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it. My pleasure.
Great stuff. CJ Nitkowski from the Texas Rangers, former pitcher, now turned broadcaster, now turned talk show host. They do a good job. It's 2 players, Ryan Spielborgs, who actually works for the Rockies, and CJ Nitkowski, who works for the Texas Rangers. So it's 2 players hosting a show, and comes off really well. They got good chemistry. And like today, he wasn't on, but there's other guys that will fill in. But it's good stuff. And CJ is one of the better / you call him color guy, opinion guy, who can also be a talk show. He's one of the better guys in our business.
Yeah, and I always like having him on. He's very insightful. I mean, he played the game overseas as well. Remember, we had him talk. We brought him on KBO and talk about the KBO, and we were all watching the KBO, and that was going on during the COVID year. But that exercise you guys were talking about with the defending one side you want to agree with, that's one thing we could do after the season's over is we argue why Verlander should stay with the Astros and why he shouldn't.
We need a third person, though.
To bring up
Kleinschmidt. Where's Kleinschmidt? Damn it, we get her in here. She'll be the mediator.
Yeah, she can bring it. Like I said,
get her on video.
Why Verlander should stay? Why Verlander should opt out? That could be one. Where with Judge?
Not opt out because you can opt out and resign. Why Verlander leaves the Astros
and why he stays?
Why he stays?
That's a good one.
I would not want to have why leave.
You can argue that he can opt out and make more money.
I mean, really, he needs more money.
I mean, I know I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying like that could be one.
How much more money you need, bro?
What if the Mets want to bring him in and reunite him with his former Detroit Tiger teammate Max Scherzer?
Okay, okay.
Scherzer,
I don't know.
Scherzer reaches out, and says, "Hey, let's get the band back together. We'll get Miggy back, and
all I know is
we'll drag Prince Fielder out of retirement."
All I know is I win a ton of games playing for these guys. Ton of games, and when it comes to money, there's no state taxes. I win a ton of money playing for these guys, and right now, that's all he cares about is wins.
Or
I don't think money is what he cares about, but I mean that would be your argument. You gotta figure out an argument. I mean. Probably the only place better for Verlander would be LA.
To win games, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If he's trying to get because we know he wants.
He wants 300 wins. That is the mission. The mission is I want to be the last guy to win 300 games.
Well,
so what's the best way to get there?
He's at 244, so you would need 66 more wins. Right?
He's saying he's willing to pitch till he's 45. He's 39.
Sorry, 56 more wins. My math is off there, right? Yeah. Yes.
So a couple big years, and you're kind of there.
He won 18 games this year at age 39. If he can just win 15 for the next few years, he'll be there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You go to the Dodgers. If he went to the Dodgers, the Dodgers are going to keep rolling off 100 plus every year. Verlander could win 20 games again.
Let's look at him. We always go to Nolan Ryan because he still threw hard when he was older. Nolan Ryan, when he turned 40, won 8 games, but he had a 2.76 ERA.
He was on bad teams.
Then he won 12, 16, 13, 12. Verlander could do that. And there's your 300. He's the last guy to do it because, well, no one's going to sniff it.
You're going to get, like, you don't want to go to New York Yankees to deal with that crap.
No. You
don't want to do that.
You can go to the Mets and be reunited with Scherzer.
But are you guaranteed? I think you're pretty guaranteed to win games in Houston.
Yeah.
They're lined up to win. He's only going to pick. So if I'm Verlander, in the amount of time that I'm still going to play, right? You can think about, I know I'm willing to go out on a limb here that while Verlander is still healthy and good enough to pitch at this level, the Astros will be a good team.
Yeah.
I'm willing to say the Dodgers during that time frame will still be a team that will be able to win games. New York, I don't know.
Here's another one for you. What if the Astros win the World Series this year? Philly's like, you know what? Verlander's going to opt out. What if Dave Dombrowski calls? Dombrowski was there in Detroit. Reunite him in Philly.
What's my mission?
Win games. Philly will be good next year.
I don't know. Philly barely got. Philly lost 10 of their last 13 and backed in. I don't know. This is just a great run. Do I know Philly's going to be good? Like, I know
Texas. What about Bochy?
I don't know if Texas is going to be good. Do I want to be Verlander having a good year and it's about his record at this point. He's got to win games.
Yeah. And
so you got to go where they're going to win 100+ games.
And Houston's can look a lot different next year. Dusty could be gone, win or lose. James Click could be gone, win or lose. So you can have a new
players are pretty much
there. Yeah, but you can lose a GM who goes, okay, well, if he opts out, well, we don't need you. I mean, it's kind of silly, but I mean, CJ said it. They can split Hunter Brown in his spot, and probably not miss a beat. I mean, Hunter Brown's he could be good, but to say he's gonna be Verlander-esque is maybe a little premature. But he did look good when he has pitched this year. But
Verlander's not going to a 500 team for money.
So you're telling me I shouldn't let, when we see Torrey in Arizona or in San Diego, hey Torrey, don't expect Verlander to be there.
The D-backs could offer Verlander a lot of money. He's not going. He's got to go where they're going to win. Let's just say 95. Saying 100 is a little strong, but 95 plus. You're pretty much guaranteed to win 95 plus.
Yeah, Arizona.
Not that.
No. Hey, maybe what if Boch calls Torrey or calls the GM and says no, and says, what's it going to take for me to get Mad Bum here in Texas? I thought about that after Boch got hired. Because I said him and I think Belt, they could both be Giants or Rangers at some point.
The Arizona Diamondbacks would pay for the moving cost. They would send you gifts for the next 100 years if you would take Mad Bum. How much is Mad Bum? What's left? 1 year?
No.
It was only a 4-year deal.
But I think this is where,
or was it 5 years?
I think it was 5, and this is where Bumgarner starts making the money. So Bumgarner's,
there's only max 2 years. He's already been there 3 years.
He's 33 right now. So going into next year, 2023, he will make.
He's 2 years left.
23 million next year
and 14.
And 14.
You're wrong. It's 2 years left. 1 year's 14. You would pay. You know what, Arizona? We'll pay. Arizona would pay the 14. We'll pay his entire salary just for you to take him.
By the way, this is funny. They have his team roping rodeo competition winnings on here.
And what's his name in that?
Isn't it Mason Saunders or whatever?
I mean, literally, if I'm the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Rangers called, okay, you take part of the money next year, the $23 million. We will pay the Arizona Diamondbacks. We will pay you the entire 14 just to get rid of him.
Yeah,
Can you imagine what it's like to be? I mean, depending on who you believe. A bad Madison Bumgarner, a angry Madison Bumgarner, a getting lit up 5 ERA Madison Bumgarner can't be a fun guy to be around.
7-15 this year, a 4.88 ERA and 30 starts.
You think he's fun to be around?
No, negative 0.8 WAR. But people Giant fan tells me he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, he does have a great World Series ERA. I will give him that.
Will they retire? Will
he'll be on the Wall of Fame before he even retires.
Okay, I'm not talking about the wall. I don't expect Madison Bumgarner to be next to Joe Panic on your wall, next to Marvin Bernard. Who else is on this wall?
Oh, we went over this. Hunter Pence. There's so many guys. By the way, in 4 career World Series starts, he's 4-0 with a 0.25 ERA.
You retire his number? San Francisco?
He's won 3 more World Series than Will Clark did.
I mean, the only 2 guys that played in all 3 are Posey and Bumgarner.
Correct. Yeah. Belt.
Oh, I know I'm correct.
Yeah, Belt and Crawford weren't there.
Because Bumgarner pitched, and that first one was against
Texas.
And he pitched in that World Series, started. The only guy to play in all 3. Posey and Bumgarner. You going to retire? You're going to retire old Mad Bums Uni? Forever San Francisco.
Do you retire Posey's number?
Oh, of course.
Posey's a part owner now. So he'll probably just say it's Buster Posey night every year.
You're going to retire Buster Posey's number. Buster Posey is the new version of what a Hall of Famer will be. You're not going to have the elite numbers. Buster Posey will get involved.
Told you, I'm fine with you putting him in, but Drumauer goes in too. If we're talking about numbers.
What'd he do?
Talking about numbers, he was a better.
What? I'm not saying. I'm saying he is Buster Posey is the new version where the numbers don't necessarily are going to have to. We've gotten softer. We've gotten nicer as Hall of Fame voters. Now, I'm not a voter. I disagree with this. I think the standard should still be really high. And I mean, if you're starting to, well, he won 3 World Series, it's going to be like, I got a bunch of Yankees who got really good stats, who got 5 rings on the phone.
Jorge Posada, Bernie Williams.
I mean, Bernie Williams not a Hall of Famer. Buster Posey's a Hall of Famer. Bernie Williams is a Hall of Famer.
You can make the case that Jorge Posada.
Paul O'Neill.
Yeah.
Paul O'Neill's got a ring with the Cincinnati Reds, too.
Thurman Munson should be in the Hall of Fame. So here you go. So Buster Posey, let's give you his WAR real quick because we're running out of time. Buster Posey in his career had a 44.8 WAR.
What's Mauer's?
55.2. Everyone's going to go, well, he didn't play catcher his whole career. Neither did Buster Posey. He played first base too.
Joe Mauer played at the Hefty Bag.
Mauer hit 143 career home runs. He wasn't a big home run hitter. Posey had 158. They both won an MVP. Mauer's OPS is 827. Posey's is 831. Mauer drove in more runs. Mauer scored more runs by 400 almost. But
so basically, you're saying they had identical careers offensively.
Yeah, except for he was a 3-time Gold Glove winner. I think Posey was a 3-time Gold Glove winner too. No, 1 Gold Glove for Buster Posey. 3 batting titles for Joe Mauer. But Buster Posey, I don't think he ever won a.
I never thought I'd end my World Series Game 5 show with a Buster Posey, Joe Mauer debate.
So who wins tonight?
Who won the World Series?
Buster Posey 3 times.
Ooh, 3 times. How many did Mauer win?
None.
Yeah. Put that in your Joe Mauer Hall of Fame plaque. 0 World Series. Buster.
By the way, winner of Game 5, they've gone on the winner of Game 5 has gone on to win the series 70% of the time.
70.3 to be exact.
Okay, so I run down 70.
They did that last night on, was it yesterday? MLB, they had 82.3, and I called him over. I'm like, just round it down. Does the 0.3 really matter? Like it's 70.3. No, 70. I'm good with 70. I don't need to know it's 70.3.
On the way out, I'm going to ask you, will Justin Verlander get a World Series win before he retires?
Wait, what?
Will Justin Verlander get a World Series win before he retires?
Well, I'm rooting against him tonight, so I'm saying no.
Okay.
No. Stand on my ground. Ring the bell. Philly, take these Suns out. Is it weak Wheeler's not going tonight?
Extra rest tomorrow for Game 6. That's what everyone keeps telling me.
Who goes Game 7? Ranger
Suarez versus McCullers.
Is it sad that like it's like, well, Ranger Suarez. I like that in Game 7. Where's Wheeler? Where's Nola? Where's your horses? Where's your Caner? Now that you're into Giants baseball, where's your Matt Cain? Your horse. The horse has to be the horse. Where is he? Wheeler's at because this is regular role. This is regular rest for Wheeler, right?
He's going to be extra rest. I'm pretty sure now.
No, but today.
It would be
Saturday.
Yeah, so this yes.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's regular rest for him today. He's not going.
He's going to have 6 days of rest.
I want him going tonight and be ready for Game 7 for a couple innings.
Good luck with that.
You guys are so sick.
By the way, let's play this real quick. Did you hear Kyle Schwarber when he was asked about the team no-hitter last night?
Did you bleep it?
It's already bleeped. So here's Kyle Schwarber being asked about the Kono last night in Philadelphia.
Just to be part of this end of baseball history, just how does it feel when you realize that this is just the second World Series? No.
Yeah, I really don't give. No, move on to tomorrow. It's cool. We'll be in the history books, I guess.
There you go. There's as CJ said, blue collar guys who make a lot of money.
Rich blue collar team is what they are. It's what Smoltz said the night before, right? About the 7-0 shutout, Philly over Houston.
Yes, forget about it. Come back tomorrow.
You rather lose like that and just go, well, you got us. We'll see you tomorrow. Versus
extra innings.
Played 12 innings. You used everybody in the pen. You gave everything you got and you lost. So Houston goes out, gets shut out, dominated 7-0. They come back the next day. They dominate and win and throw a Kono. So it's kind of like, if you're going to lose, you might as well lose like that, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree.
So I believe in this Kyle Schwarber, rich blue-collar ball club mentality.
Well, we'll see. So how it goes, because Game 6 will be Saturday night at 5:03.
There will be a Game 6, which means we don't have a show tomorrow.
No, yeah, so we'll be back Monday. We're hoping to have Keith Littman.
So that's it. We won't see you tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be back on Monday with a World Series champion.
Yeah, because Game 7 would be Sunday if it goes 7. Unless there's some reason
unless
there's a rain out.
Unless Rob Manfred calls me and says, all right, Townie, what should we do? Rob, throw it to Monday. You do not want to go against the NFL on Sunday. You will get no attention. No one will talk about it. You have a better chance against one game on Monday Night Football than you have all day of football and Sunday Night Football. You have a better chance. Rob, push it back.
Told you Monday Night Football is Saints Ravens.
Saints Ravens.
That's what I mean. That's why you have a better chance to.
I mean, who cares about the Saints?
I think Sunday Night Football is Chiefs Titans at Arrowhead. Derrick Henry versus Patrick Mahomes.
Push it back. Push it back to Game 7 to Monday. That's what I would do.
That gives that an extra day rest for Christian Javier to pitch Game 7.
Gives everybody a little extra day. Sit around Sunday. Everybody watch football. We'll be back on Monday. Well, that's not going to be the case. We will be back on Monday with a World Series champion. So that means you're going to have somebody from Philly or Houston.
Yeah. Like, you mean guess-wise or?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the parade.
Maybe both, because we're going to have to talk about.
Yeah. Well, we'll get Blummer.
You losers. When's the parade?
We'll assume parade will be Tuesday or Wednesday.
Not if they win on Saturday.
Probably Tuesday still. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Do you want to have a parade on like 3 day? I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out on Saturday evening.
Phillies are going to win this thing. My heart tells me.
Okay.
Verlander goes down tonight.
I'm not feeling confident.
Your boy,
I'm not confident Verlander tonight.
Your boy. Go ahead. Over and under how many times they show Kate Upton?
I only saw her once last night. I'll say 3.
All right.
I'll take the push. You know what? I'll go under 3.
You're going down tonight, pretty boy, with your rich model wife. You're going down. But she's got more money. He doesn't need money. She's got more money than he does.
It's just like Giselle and Brady. Well, no. Well, they're not a thing anymore, but
I mean, they could still get back together.
Tom's had a great career. I think this is probably it for him. I don't know. We've been saying that for 5 years now, and he just keeps going back.
Oh, wow. Now you're kicking sand on the great Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, 3-5. Him and
Joe Montana, as they say.
Yeah, that's true. I don't say that, but
well,
49er fans.
All your friends do. Yeah. We got to thank the pitching ninja, Rob Friedman. I just lost my thing.
Scott Emerson.
Scott Emerson, the great pitching coach of your Oakland Athletics. CJ Nitkowski and Zach Crizer. We got to have Zach on again. He was good.
He was. And
from Yahoo Sports, baseball prospectus.
Emo already emailed me and said, can you send me the link from the interview? The show's not even over yet.
Oh, wow. Shots fired. It's all about me. That's Emo.
Emo wants to put up on LinkedIn. He's a big LinkedIn guy.
Enjoy Game 5 of the World Series because the winner wins what?
70.3% of the time, or 70 if you just want to round down.
70.3% of the time. We'll have a World Series winner on Monday. We'll see everybody back here. A's Cast Live on Monday.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last